also make two changes from their side that beat Burnley 3-0 on the opening day at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's Vicario in goal, a back four of Porro, Romero, Van der Ven and Spence. Sarr keeps his place in the midfield while Paulinho and Bentancur come in place of Archegret and Lucas Bergvall. It's Kudus on the right, Johnson on the left, Richarlison up front. Kick-off is at 12:30, make sure you join us. And we'll leave that just there. A very warm welcome to all those listening to this independent, unofficial, off-tube studio commentary of this big Premier League midday clash. It's Manchester City against Tottenham Hotspur at the Etihad Stadium. It's Tottenham who get us underway as Kudus, with his first touch of the game, lays it back to the goalkeeper who sends it out towards the left wing looking for Richarlison. It's a bit overhit on that occasion. Manchester City will pick up the first throw-in of the afternoon already. Just the second game of the season. Getting quite a treat here with one of the most respected fixtures in the division. Always seems to produce entertainment, Manchester City and Tottenham Hotspur. We all know about City having Tottenham as a bit of a bogey team in recent years. Haaland tries to slip an early ball through for Marmoush, obviously back in the starting 11 today. It won't work out then. Tottenham just having possession around the back at the moment. It's myself, Joshua Makin, alongside me is James Smedley. James, very big game earlier days in this Premier League match day. How do we see this one going?
Well, I think it'll be an interesting one, especially for Thomas Frank. I covered his first game in charge of Tottenham, that loss on penalties to Paris Saint-Germain in the UEFA Super Cup, and I was impressed for large parts of that game. Obviously they went 2-0 up thanks to two set-piece, well-worked goals, but overall I think they pressed really, really well and they looked like a solid defensive unit, which is something that they didn't look like under Postecoglou last season. So Frank clearly has improved in several areas of the pitch for Spurs, but it'll be a real test today, probably his first big test since that opener against Paris Saint-Germain in the Super Cup, but potentially more riding on it. He'll want to continue on the Tottenham tradition, if you like, of doing well against Manchester City and Pep Guardiola's sides. They've won 7 of the last 14.
Yeah, they certainly have, but there was an early chance there almost for a moment. Shirky picked up the ball on the edge of the area, tried to slip the ball through for Haaland. Tottenham got in the way of it eventually, and they have just conceded a throw-in out on this near side. Rico Lewis back in obviously in the squad again today, as he started against Wolves last week. Takes the throw-in early, wins himself another one. It's back with Stones now, just about halfway inside the Tottenham half. But yeah, as James mentioned, good start to the season for Tottenham. Had that game in the Super Cup where they nearly got the better of Paris Saint-Germain, the European champions. Followed that up with a 3-0 win on the opening day against newly promoted Burnley, a side they would have expected to beat, but the performance very encouraging. And Thomas Frank will look to continue Tottenham Hotspur's unbeaten start to the season. I will just run you through the lineups now quickly if you missed them. For Man City, they make two changes from the side that beat Wolves 4-0 on the opening day at Molineux. It's Trafford in goal, the back four of Lewis, Stones, Diaz and Aït-Nouri. It's Gonzalez and Reinders in the midfield once more. Bob keeps his place out on the right wing. The two changes are Cherki and Marmoush coming in for Silva and Doku respectively. Then obviously Erling Haaland leading the line. Tottenham make two changes of their own. It's Vicario in goal, the back four Porro, Romero, Van der Ven and Spence. Sarr keeps his place in midfield while Paulinho and Bentancur replace Bergvall and Gray. It's Kudus on the right wing, Johnson on the left, Richarlison up through the middle as well. He's had a good start to the season as well. It's about time as well that he really clicked into gear for Tottenham Hotspur. There was a lot made around his transfer, big money that they spent to bring him to North London. Looks like he might be finally getting the nod up front as well for Thomas Frank.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we all saw his potential, especially at Everton, single-handedly keeping the Toffees up on a couple of seasons consecutively, and I think since arriving from Spurs he's been really unlucky, being kept out by Dominic Solanke, been injured as well for large parts of his tenure at Spurs, but I think we are really starting to see, that vintage Richarlison, if you like, a striker that's, physical and bullies defenders, but also has the technical quality to score some fabulous goals, as we saw on the opening weekend.
Yeah, it certainly does. Another player who has fantastic ability and has forced his way back in at Tottenham is Jed Spence, who's just on the ball there, coming past the halfway line on the left wing. A good battle between him and Rico Lewis, you'd expect today. Spencer's somehow come from nowhere, really, hasn't it, to revive his Tottenham career after being loaned out to Leeds United and then Cagliari as well in Italy. It never really worked out at Leeds. Worked a bit better in Serie A, but he's really made himself a namesake now at Tottenham. And Postecoglou putting a lot of faith in him. Thomas Frank continuing that tradition. Just some more possession at the moment for City as Ruben Diaz looks to spread one out towards the left wing. What a ball that is as well for Omar Marmoush. He's going to keep it in. He's going to have a run at Pedro Porro now as well. Maybe it just tries to go inside on different wavelengths to Reinders in the end, and Tottenham can't keep the ball in as they try and bring it out of the defence. It will be another throw-in to Manchester City. Just quickly mention his name there as well. Tierney Reinders, what a debut he had away at Wolverhampton Wanderers in the opening day. Really turned a lot of heads with that performance, scoring a goal and getting an assist as well. Pretty much the perfect debut for him in a blue shirt. So Tottenham will definitely be aware of that one. They have got some more players back in as well now on the bench. Rodri, that's big for them, isn't it? We know how much they missed him last season. Phil Foden on the bench again today as well. So City definitely have that depth from the bench if they need it. The ball there goes along with Richarlison's coming back from an offside position. It's just been a bit of a quiet opening 5 minutes. Still goalless at the Etihad between Manchester City and Tottenham Hotspur. That's good pressing though from Richarlison. Just nips in, steals the ball and off of Nico Gonzalez, who commits the foul as well. So that's good there from Richarlison, just putting the City players under a bit of pressure, and James Trafford might have some early work to do with it.
Yeah, it's good work from Richarlison. I think one thing that Thomas Frank has really wanted to embed in this Spurs 11 is the need to press and the need to win that ball back in high areas. We saw it against Paris Saint-Germain in the Super Cup, saw it as well in Tottenham's opening league game as well, and I think really it's important for players like Richarlison to lead by example, lead from the front and just create a positive attitude, especially going away from home against a side that are going to have a lot of the ball. You want to show that you're up there for the fight. You don't want to give too much respect to this Manchester City side. You want to win that ball back and get right up in the faces, which Richarlison has done early on.
Yeah, certainly has done. He's given themselves a good set piece opportunity. Romero obviously just been announced as the Tottenham Hotspur captain before the season started, just barking orders. It's going to be Pedro Porro to take this free kick, just about halfway inside the City half on the left side. He floats it towards that back post. There's the run at the back from Bentancur. Heads it across goal. Haaland doing his defensive duty on this occasion, just smashes it downfield. Mamouche is going to chase it and he goes down under a challenge there. Referee Peter Banks not interested about that one as Tottenham look to continue their attack. That's good skill there from Mohamed Kudus, who's had a good start to life in a Tottenham Hotspur shirt. Links up with Chad Spencer, who's on the right as it stands, and Perrault eventually is forced to go all the way back to the goalkeeper Vicario. Of course, this is the only early kick-off in the Premier League today, the half-12 fixture. There's 3 games on at 3 o'clock. Bournemouth vs Wolves, Brentford vs Aston Villa, Burnley vs Sunderland as well, and Arsenal taking on Leeds United in the 5:30 kick-off. They will be available on our surface. There's a few early games going on in the Championship as well at the moment. Charlton against Leicester, Hull against Blackburn, Swansea vs Watford, a couple in League 1 as well, like Luton and Cardiff, and Rotherham vs Wigan. In League 2, Newport taking an early lead against MK Dons, Walsall drawing 0-0 with Salford. All those games, unless stated otherwise, are currently goalless. We're still waiting for our first goals in the sort of top 3 divisions. 7 minutes in at the Etihad as John Stones plays the ball forward. Erling Haaland's dropped really deep there and he's lost out. Sort of kicks out Richarlison as well. It's going to be another free kick to Tottenham Hotspur, this time in a much more dangerous position. Yeah, Richarlison involved once again to win another attacking free kick. As you say, Josh, this one in a much better position, perhaps a shooting one at that as well. And a good press from Romero, of all people, the Argentine, recently made club captain, pressing Haaland all the way back, almost on the edge of that City box. Does really, really well, forces the mistake, and then Haaland lashing out at Richarlison, just desperate to win that ball back, but can't do so. Thomas Frank celebrating that like a goal. Yeah, it certainly is. Knows how big of a chance this is against Man City. You don't get many chances at the Etihad. Obviously Tottenham have done in recent years, but this City side this season, of course, early doors, but they are looking much better than they did last year. But James Trafford just sizing up his
Frank celebrating
wall
that like
at the
a goal.
with a 3-man wall by the looks of things. There's a few players standing over it for Tottenham. Pedro Porro, certainly one of them. He'll definitely fancy this. It looks like it suits the right footer. It's on that left side. Good range from goal if he can get it up and over that wall and into the corner. So the first sort of real chance in this game for either side. 8 minutes in, it's still goalless. Romero's just placed himself in front of the Manchester City wall as well there. Obviously we know about that new rule, well, it's not a new rule that's coming, but has been started to enforce. There is also Kudus standing over it with his left foot. Porro does step up though, goes straight to the wall, might get another bite of the cherry as well. He smashes it into the side netting. His second effort a lot better than the first, forced James Trafford to dive to his right. It was going out anyway. Manchester City have a goal kick, but a first big chance there for Tottenham. Yeah, it's a fantastic snapshot from Pedro Porro when that comes back to me. It's a disappointing first effort from the direct free kick. The Manchester City wall standing still and it just hitting the midriff of Tijani Reinders, I believe it was. But then the follow-up from Porro, fantastic effort with the right foot, just snaps at it and almost finds that near side top corner. Trafford looked concerned for a moment. As it stands, he's still yet to concede in the Premier League. Yeah, it certainly is, and he goes direct with this goal kick. Haaland trying to hold it up before Porro. That's a bit of a poor header back towards his first. Mamouche can take advantage as well, and it just goes agonisingly wide Well, just a moment from Tottenham nearly finding the net. A massive mix-up at the back from Pedro Porro. Almost let Marmoush in, just agonisingly wide of the target.
Well, it's the first big chance of the game, and what a big chance it is. Pedro Porro, you won't be watching that back on Match of the Day this evening, I can tell you that for free, and it's a fantastic effort actually from Marmoush because it's such a tight angle. He knocks it back, does the Spanish fullback, looking for Vicario, but his pass is wayward to the left-hand side. Vicario stays grounded to his goal line and then has to come out to close down the Marmoush strike. Marmoush squeezes it between the goalkeeper's legs though, and almost misses that far post by a matter of centimetres. The Egyptian clearly showing his pace there, and already Pedro Porro looks to be losing that battle with Manchester City's winger.
Yeah, it certainly is at the moment. Porro, we know about his attacking prowess and how effective he can be going forward defensively though, as there are still a few questions around him. You can see why with that chance there, just past the 10-minute mark in this one. It's taken a bit of time, but the chances are starting to come for both sides now, as we expected. A few good tackles flying in there just outside the Manchester City half before Vicario eventually launches it downfield. Richarlison will try and bring it under control. He can't do. Diaz comes forward for it. We'll go all the way back towards James Trafford once more. Oh, that's a real mix-up from Trafford. I'm not sure what the goalkeepers are up to in these early stages. Richarlison again with that press. He's giving it to Kudus, who's just by the corner flag at the moment, taking on Ruben Diaz. Gets his crossing towards the back post. Gets way too much on it in the end though, and it goes out for a goal kick. But yeah, a bit of an early scare there for James Trafford.
Yeah, there is, and I think just a bit of nerves perhaps early on. It's not a great bit of play from Rico Lewis, if I'm honest, to be passing it back to your goalkeeper from that kind of distance. And actually, Trafford, well, that's probably the best outcome of that situation, because Richarlison presses well and almost knocks it past the young goalkeeper and takes it round him into the back of the net. That's a foul from Van de Ven in the midfield on Rico Lewis. The youngster already shown that he's pretty happy to get involved. Actually, it's Oscar Bob, the man going down there, the Brazilian, who's had quite the revival himself at Manchester City. Been there for a fair few years now, the Brazilian, yet to really, apart from the start of this season, break out into the first team. But it looks as though he may well feature a little bit more this year.
Yeah, this is risky from Reinders as well, who brings it all the way across his own box while being under severe pressure from Tottenham. You can see how high the press is at the moment. Man City, no other option in the end just to go long for it. This is exactly what we want to see though from Thomas Frank's side. Maybe a bit of a worry before the game. Would Tottenham go defensive and try and contain this Manchester City team? But it's been the opposite so far. They might have a problem now though, as Bob gets it on the right wing, cuts inside nicely. There's space for him to drive into here as well. Goes towards the back post looking for Marmoush, floats it over. Porro's in the way of it. City will get it back though again now with Gonzalez. Here's Reinders coming forward. Marmoush to his left, inside the penalty area now. Marmoush onto his left foot, up towards the byline, takes it round his man Vicario out though, off his line just to deny him as he went for the shot. Kudus then trying to hold the ball up, but Man City will get the throw in once more. Marmoush trying to get the crowd up for it at the moment. He's looking effective in his first 12 minutes.
I'll tell you what, he's frighteningly quick, is Omar Marmoush. When he gets that ball, he just drags it. He makes Pedro Porro look like a statue, the Spanish fullback, as he goes on the outside, then drags it inside, and it's that burst of acceleration that you can just see the Tottenham back line do not know how to cope with. When he gets on that back line, Marmoush, and gets running ahead of him, it's a complete mismatch. Pedro Porro, not the best defender in terms of fullbacks in the league, not the quickest either, and he's been exposed a couple of times now early on, and you do think that if a Manchester City goal is going to come, it's going to come from that left hand side, and Marmoush will be involved.
Yeah, they're certainly looking to exploit that side of the pitch at the moment, aren't they? Seen how high Tottenham are pressing as well, but when City can break through it, the warning signs are going off for Tottenham Hotspur. Maybe a tweet will be made by Thomas Frank if that continues to happen. But here is Kudus now. He's not been involved too much in the opening 13 minutes. Good play for him in there just to shift it out towards this left side. Spencer's got a bit of space to run into before Bob eventually closes it off. It's now with Benson Corey, of course, has come back into the starting 11 today. Now with Romero, the captain, as Tottenham just looked to maybe take the sting out of the game. It's been about 13.5 minutes. Tottenham, like they were doing decently. They've had that free kick chance, but just looks like City are starting to apply the pressure a little bit more.
Yeah, I think so. It's that infamous Guardiola squeeze really on defensive sides, who are going to try and keep the ball around the back, as Tottenham are trying to do for the moment. City almost committing 4 or 5 bodies in that attacking third. Gonzalez, I think, has been playing really high, almost as a 10 out of possession. As a result, once again up against Van de Ven this time, and Van de Ven, it's just panicked football really from Tottenham. They're trying to play through the lines and play direct and go to feet, but at the moment it's not quite working. Vicario's distribution as well, I have to mention, is pretty poor for a goalkeeper of this level. 50% long balls accurate, and some of the worst stats in the Division 4 goalkeepers, and I'm not quite sold by him just yet in net for Tottenham.
Yeah, they played that one quite well there, Tottenham. It's Bentancur who eventually brought the ball out of play. Was looking for the run downfield of Sarr. However, his pass was way too heavy, and Trafford will collect it up for Manchester City before just going short towards John Stones. Looks like it's a really problem though now as well for Man City. It's Ryan Aït-Nouri who's down on the ground in some pain as well at the moment. This would be exactly what Pep Guardiola wouldn't have wanted. Just about 15 minutes in, one of his new signings, Ryan Aït-Nouri, after arriving from Wolverhampton Wanderers in the summer for quite a hefty fee, looks like he's down on the ground at the moment. They've already got Vardiol injured as well, so left back, they're sort of being squeezed on at the moment. They have got Ake on the bench, who you imagine can come on and do quite a nice job in that role, but exactly what Manchester City didn't want.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Aït-Nouri is one of the greatest fullbacks in this division. I think last season for Wolves, 9 goal contributions in the Premier League, and that's one of the main reasons Manchester City did sign him. Gvardiol last season proved how fullbacks can be such an attacking threat, and I think Aït-Nouri will be wanting to do the same again this year. So this injury, a big blow for Guardiola if it does prove to be serious. Seeing images as well on our monitors of Rodri sat on the bench too. Perhaps maybe he could be introduced at some point to reshuffle the side and maybe change things up a little bit, because Guardiola at the moment looks a concerned figure on that bench. Rico Lewis can play as a right-sided centre-half. He's done so at times, did in the league against Leeds United a few years ago, but really they'll want to have that 3 out of possession and then move one of the fullbacks up with Aït-Nouri and Lewis filling in as a part of that back 3. So if one of them has to go off, you imagine that a major system change will have to be introduced, because I'm not sure that Nathan Ake possesses the same offensive qualities as a former Wolves defender.
No, it certainly doesn't. We didn't actually see what the injury was for initially. Thought it might have just been an off-contact one that he picked up, but upon the replays, it's when Mohamed Kudus goes to sort of switch the ball. Like, no, he does get his foot in the way, but as Kudus follows through, just sort of catches his feet. Thankfully for Man City, Aït-Nouri, he's back up to his feet now, so it looks like he will be able to continue. He walks off to the side, which is just a couple of feet away from him. He's with the medical staff. I think he is going to be reintroduced into this one, so we'll see how well that ankle, that sort of on that left foot, holds up. Did look for a moment like he was in serious trouble, but physios have done their job, and for now Manchester City might just be playing with 10 men while they wait for Aït-Nouri to be reintroduced to the pitch. And Tottenham are sensing that as well. Look how high they're pressing once more, with Trafford having to clear it long under pressure from Richarlison. It's a great ball as well, lovely skill from Omar Marmoush. Has to eventually go back towards Reinders though, as he's in the way of him. Looks like we're finally maybe seeing our first goal in the top 2 divisions of English football as well today. Looks like Blackburn have just taken the lead away at Hull City in the Championship. Just waiting news of the goal scorer. It's Man City again. That's a heavy touch from Diaz under pressure from Richarlison, and Stones with a nice ball out wide towards Oscar Bob. Now he's going to have a run at Jed Spence here, twisting and turning onto his left and right before eventually going back towards Rico Lewis. Receives the return pass and now drives inside. Nice ball towards Marmoush on the left. Reinders is making a run ahead of him. Marmoush goes for the curler, and it's good power on it. It's straight at Vicario who makes the save. Tottenham can now try and bring it out of play. It's a poor pass from Bentancur. The Bob now. Diaz is charging forward before they eventually get in each other's way. But the first real chance there, first time we've seen there from, I should say, from Omar Marmoush cutting in on that right foot and getting his shot off. Yeah, and I think Reinders may be a little bit unhappy with his Egyptian teammate there, because he makes a really good run, does the Danish midfielder, and he gets into a really good goal scoring position, similar to the goal that he scored against Wolverhampton Wanderers, as you alluded to earlier, Josh, where he just gets in behind the back line and then slots it away with his left foot into that far corner. You can almost see the exact same thing happening there again, but instead Marmoush cuts inside on his right foot and has a striking goal, which he's very much entitled to do. But I think that Johnny Rangers may feel that if he's going to do that and be selfish, he may well want to try and at least find the corner. Yeah, certainly will. We know what Marmoush is capable of in those situations. That goal last season against Bournemouth tells you that. But here is Reinders now up towards the penalty area. He goes for it himself when there was the run down the left from Marmoush. It comes off a Tottenham man, and Spence can try and bring it away now as well. In fact, he gets penned in a little bit before Van der Ven launches it down the field. It was Ryan Hedges who got the opening goal in that game for Blackburn against Hull City. Bentancur seeing a lot of the ball at the moment, just in the centre of the pitch. Has to go back towards Romero. He'll receive it once more again now, but you can see that run every time from Reinders, can't you? Whenever he makes it going forward, he's always looking to burst past the defenders and eventually get that shot off.
And helping you
yeah,
out.
He certainly is, and he's certainly an attacking, creative.
Him, but Amari Bell, really experienced player at this level. I think he's already made a really good start to his Charlton career. Read the situation, good tackle.
And Fury's got it. A unanimous decision.
Games ago, surely it's not. I mean, I've not done management. Managers will tell you, but yes, there'll be a lack of confidence, and there'll be the 20-game sort of run that this new manager's sort of tried to implement that hasn't worked. But they'll still remember what they were doing 20 games ago, if that's what you want to revert back to, and that's where you want to go. For me, it depends. Are they wanting this brand of football where they didn't want to keep David Moyes? They wanted a more exciting brand of football. Are you prepared to wait for that? Are you prepared to go through not getting results and things not going your way, and looking like you're in a real poor run of form and looking like you're slipping down the league? Is that brand of football worth waiting for? Because Graham Potter showed that he can bring it, but can he last long enough in the Premier League to be able to get the squad to do that? That's the question West Ham board and fans need to answer.
I think independent of that, they've not bought a central midfielder to replace Declan Rice. They sold him for 105 million, and since then what they've bought, Edison Alvarez, is probably more of a centre-back /
and
six.
Going or gone.
Yeah, James Ward-Prowse, again, yesterday maybe not up to speed. Kelvin Phillips, that was absolutely awful. And then Rodriguez on a free transfer. That is a massively key part of the team for Graham Potter's side, right? You need ball players in there. When they played their best football at Brighton, you had such quality in there. Caicedo, Weepu, McAllister. You had these types of players, and I think going from
in the starting 11, 44 appearances this season, 4 23, 24, then 20, almost over halved his appearances for the Citizens. So really, it looks as though this may well be a big positive for Thomas Frank's men, just about whether they can take advantage. But certainly a big loss for Manchester City.
Yeah, it certainly is. First substitution of the game having to be made in the 22nd minute. Still goalless at the Etihad between City and Tottenham. I'll just run you through the benches now, as well as we're going to be looking that way. It's Edison on the goal on the bench for Man City. There's also Aki, who's just coming on, Kusanov, Rodri, Bernardo Silva, Mateus Nunes, Nico O'Reilly, Phil Foden and Jeremy Doku. For Tottenham, it's Kinski, who's the backup goalkeeper. There's Danzo, Gray, Miskovic, Davies, Bergvall, Tell, Solanke and Odebert as well. Tottenham obviously keeping all their changes for the moment, as Ryan Aitnori, guttingly for him, does just make his way off the field very slowly. As you mentioned, Nathan Ake is a more than capable player at this division, but doesn't bring that attacking threat like the man that he's replacing just now. So it's a horrible moment for the former Wolves defender, but on comes Ake onto the field, just about ready to go again with this one when Peter Banks is happy for the game to resume. Still no other goals to bring you news of around the grounds at the moment, other than that one for Blackburn Rovers away at Hull City. Just got a bit of the touch map there as well, and saw that Mbappe side has only made about 3 touches in this game, despite being a midfielder. So one of the players that will need to improve for Tottenham. But they are coming down the left side now for a change. It's Brennan Johnson, lays it off to Jed Spence, back to Johnson inside the penalty area. His touch is way too heavy in the end, though. Can't keep it under control, and not mentioned his name much so far in this game. First time we've really seen him in action. Looks a straight out play for a goal kick.
He does, and I do feel for him a little bit, because it's a fantastic run that he's made down the left hand side, carrying that ball really well, and he feeds it off to Jed Spence, and I think Johnson expects Spence to just whip that in with his left foot and aim for Kudus and Richarlison at the back post. The grounded ball that's just driven between the City back line and James Trafford in goal as well. But in the end, Spence feeding it back to Johnson. It's a well worked move, and ideally a good one as well, but not really as effective, because, as I mentioned, it didn't seem as though Johnson knew it was coming. And again, perhaps just signs of a bit of disorganisation from the Spurs players.
Yeah, it certainly was. It's the first real attack they've had down that left side in quite a matter of minutes, but it does take us up to the halfway point of the first half. City are dominant at the moment. They're still not really having any major chances to break down that Tottenham defence and get past Vicario. It's goalless as it stands. It'll be James to take you through to half time.
Yeah, cheers Josh. As a sweeping ball from Jed Spence looking for Mohamed Kudus will go out of play. Good idea from the English fullback, but just not quite as effective as perhaps needed to be. But City do look vulnerable when Spurs win the ball back, and especially break at pace. Manchester City just unable to get bodies back. They are committing, really, or perhaps even over committing, some may say, in the midfield. You've got Reinders, Cherky and Gonzalez playing as a midfield triangle really, with Reinders and Cherky the most advanced, but all three are pressing really high against that Spurs back line, and whilst it has paid some dividends at the start of this first half, at points it does look as though when Tottenham can get it right, there's certain rewards to be had for the visitors, as Van de Ven picks up the ball from Vicario. It goes wide to Jed Spence. As Josh mentioned, had a bit of a career revival for Ange Postecoglou, and now Thomas Frank feeds down the line to Brennan Johnson. He'll keep this one in play, will the Welshman. Up again.
Congratulate Novak Djokovic.
I'm so happy. Talk Sport 2.
Live international football.
What a goal!
Get in.
Wasn't the best of crosses, but it still managed to come out towards Louis Page, and yeah, that will go down as a half an opportunity for sure.
Leicester look.
For example, clubs have what they want, and they put the people in position, not just the man.
It's like City know that as well, of course they will. Although the threat that Kudus possesses, and how what a great football can be, they just need to keep him out of the game as much as they can. I'm not saying that Brennan Johnson is a bad player, of course he's a brilliant footballer, but they'd much rather, I think, him be more involved than Kudus cutting into his left foot, and that's the game plan at the moment. City almost getting away down the left there as well with Marmoush, just couldn't quite keep it in though on that occasion.
Can't quite do so. It was a fantastic run once again from Tijani Reinders, this time down the middle of the field, just splitting Romero and Van de Ven apart, but he wasn't found by his teammate, and again a little bit of frustration building perhaps for him, but a fantastic tackle from Marmoush there. Richarlison almost wins it back, and then it's juggled in the air by Gonzalez. A bit of showboating there perhaps from the Argentine. Now Gonzalez again, and through the legs this time of Paulinho. Now it's Marmoush, one-on-one with Porro. That's not where Spurs want him to be, but he's trying to cut the ball back. In the end, won by Richarlison, who's then brought down. Big challenge against Kudus. It's won fairly by Ake. Now Marmoush again. City just really camped out on the edge of the Spurs box. Ruben Diaz may have a strike on goal, almost company-esque there, but instead decides against it, plays to Lewis, and that's the wrong option, because Lewis then plays that ball looking for Bob straight out of play. The Norwegian winger unable to get anywhere near it, and Spurs do have a reprieve momentarily. Guardiola looks a frustrated figure inside his technical area as Jed Spence goes to take this throw in on the near side, deep in Spurs territory. Everyone again in blue shirts pressed really high up that field, wanting to win this ball back. They've done it a couple of times, especially in that attack moments ago, really committing midfield players forward, looking to win that ball back. Richarlison wins the header, comes off Lewis. That's gone out of play. That should be a Spurs throw-in, and indeed it is. Lewis thinks otherwise, but I have to say I myself and the referee disagree with that one. I think we've got quite the argument to say that it's come straight off Lewis's back, as he didn't see the ball as it came down off of Richarlison, the Brazilian striker's head. But Jed Spence takes this one again. Again, they'll go long. Again, they'll look for Richarlison. Richarlison holds it up momentarily. It's clattered by Gonzalez into Brennan Johnson. In the end, will bounce for Haaland, who's going to try and hold it up and then turn away from Bentancur. Haaland now racing through on goal. Goes past one, then two. Paulinho's left grounded. Fantastic ball in. Strike on goal for Marmoush. Good save from Vicario. That's fantastic play from Erling Haaland. He moves like a dancer as he's bringing that ball into the final third. Not really something that he's known for, his footwork there, but it was certainly on display from Manchester City's number 9. His ball forward as well was absolutely sublime. He's been threatening that a couple of times so far in this opening half an hour, has Erling Haaland, and Marmoush getting on the end of it, but a good save from Vicario, and it's still 0-0.
Yeah, biggest chance of the game so far. That side to Erling Haaland that we don't get to see too often. Not just that pace and power as he just sort of charges through the Tottenham midfield and defence. There's nothing that any of them can do to stop him, and the ball forward is absolutely inch perfect. It's good keeping from Vicario. Just comes out well in the end to charge him down. Great save from him, but yeah, it's the biggest chance of the game. Marmoush might be disappointed, but I think it's good goalkeeping from Vicario. Just look at that again from Haaland, just absolutely charges his way through. Great ball, Pooh. It's just great from all sides.
I'll tell you what, it's that little nutmegs he does on Paulinho, the recent Spurs signing, that's just absolutely filthy to watch back on the replay. I mean, he really does send Paulinho almost back to Munich with that little drag back through the legs, fold him like a deck chair, and then the ball through to Marmoush is really, really well weighted as well. He played a similar ball looking for Marmoush in about the opening 10 minutes or so, but that one had a little bit too much on it. The one moments ago, though, inch perfect for the Egyptian, who, as you say, Josh, it doesn't really do much wrong. with the finish. As City take a free kick quickly. It was won by Reinders. It's blocked though well by Porro, then headed back into the air by Lewis. Porro should be underneath it again, and is. Then Richarlison hooks it wide and looks for the run of Johnson. Tell you what, he's got to be careful here as Reinders, and he's not. He's giving away. Now Kudus charging forward. City get numbers back though really quickly. It's impressive stuff there from the home side. And then a foot stuck out by Cherky, wins the ball back and forces it back all the way to Vicario. Spurs again threatening on the break, but just don't quite have the bodies forward at pace to create anything on the counter.
No, they can't. It's great from Kudus once again. You can see what a wonderful footballer he is to watch. So easy on the eye when he's dribbling with it. It just sort of lacks the support there in the end. Johnson and Richarlison not really quite as far up with him, and that's why the attack breaks down in the end. He's sort of having to do it all on his own and gets shown the wrong way by the defenders who, as you say, James, do really well to get back at a rate of knots like that. It's sort of that nearly story again for Tottenham, isn't it? They are looking dangerous, but it's just not coming together for them in the final third.
Absolutely. It's certainly been a frantic start to this game. Half an hour played at the Etihad. It's Manchester City 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0 in this independent off-tube studio commentary between these two Premier League giants. It's always a fixture that seems to be a thriller as Trafford plays the ball out past Richarlison into Ruben Diaz. Wide ball to the recently introduced substitute of Nathan Ake after Nori had to depart the field injured, and a big blow for Guardiola and Manchester City players and fans alike. Spurs have the ball around the back this time with Jed Spence. High press again from Lewis. Bob there in support just to try and nullify the ball forward from Johnson. Switch ball to Kudus is a really good one if he can bring it down, and of course he does with absolute ease on the knee. And just really, Nathan Ake has to sit and watch Mohamed Kudus at large parts so far in this opening half an hour, or at least the 10 minutes in which the Dutch defender has been involved. He's got nowhere near Mohamed Kudus so far. Van der Ven plays it square into Paulinho. He's going to try again and get Kudus involved. It's clear that Spurs and Thomas Frank want to get the ball to the Ghanaian. It's just been proving a little bit tricky because it's very condensed in the midfield.
Yeah, and City know that as well, aren't they? They're sort of packing out those areas of the field to stop Kudus having free reign of the pitch. As I said earlier, they much want Brendan Johnson to be having the ball rather than Kudus. It's sort of like everything's going through their Ghanaian as it stands, and you just worry though for Tottenham at the same time. If Kudus was to pick up an injury at any point or was unavailable for an amount of games, it looks like a lot of the attacking threat sort of dies with him as it stands. He's just such a threat going forward, such a lovely footballer to watch. So yeah, I do worry for them. You know, if he does have to get injured at some point, they've got decent options on the bench like Matthias Tell is more than capable. We've seen a bit from Odobert as well in flashes. Yeah, it's definitely all going through Kudus.
On the ball again now is the number 20. Has to go backwards this time because Marmoush this time has helped Nathan Ake and track back. So it's a 2v1 for Tottenham's new signing. In the end, he has to go backwards, and the ball's ended up all the way at the feet of Vicario via Bentancur. Vicario again. I'm not impressed by his distribution, the Argentine. I think I watched him in the Super Cup against Paris Saint-Germain, and it was much the same. You know, if you're going to play a low-line block and you're not going to have much of the ball, it's so vital that you have a goalkeeper that can find feet, or at least find the head of one of his teammates. I think every time he gets that ball, he's just looking to clear and not really. Well, he's kind of just hoping that Richarlison's somewhere near it.
Yeah, he's not really like the sort of modern goalkeeper that we expect now, is he? Who are really good with the feet. You know, like Manchester City, they've got Edison and James Trafford, who we know are fantastic playing out with the feet. They're almost like outfield footballers, a lot of the top goalkeepers in the world nowadays. And we just see the first yellow card brandished there by Peter Banks to Brennan Johnson. I think a bit of gamesmanship from him there, just sort of delaying the free kick a bit and needing this card to give away. But yeah, I do agree with Vicario. Fantastic shot stopper and absolutely brilliant in his penalty area, pretty much everything else. But yeah, his distribution just doesn't quite help his team at times and sort of invites the pressure back onto them constantly.
So Johnson, the first player to go in the book then. The Welshman clearly not happy with the referee's decision. I think he's mouthing words that are not pleasantries towards the official, but a yellow card it was, kicking the ball away, needless. I mean, it's just mindless stuff really when professional footballers do that. Richarlison's another one that's pretty guilty of it as well. Saw him do that in the Super Cup game and then a couple of games last season as well, where you just think, what on earth is the point, especially in the first half when you are still level with Manchester City. You've got to get the ball forward and keep your best players on the pitch, and getting booked certainly isn't going to help his case. But a fantastic ball from Haaland again, feeds it down the line towards Reinders. His ball back to Cherky's not a great one. He seemed to panic there, the Dutchman, maybe thinking he has less time than in fact he did, because he could have taken a touch, turned around, had a picnic, and then had a shot on goal. He had that much space and time in behind or just in front of that Spurs back line, but just a rush decision there.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's not been as impressive as we saw him at Molineux, where he was absolutely fantastic in those situations. But yeah, still a lot more to come from him in this game, I'm sure.
Ball down the right hand side, looking for Kudus. He'll flick it onto Richarlison. Now there's a chance to slip from Diaz. Richarlison bearing on goal. Johnson's there in support if he can find him. He does. Brennan Johnson! Goal for Tottenham Hotspur. And you thought if Thomas Frank's men were going to open the scoring, it would be a lightning fast counter attack. In fact, it is. It's into the back of the net from the Welshman. There are questions of an offside. Johnson seems muted in celebrations. I'm not sure if the linesman's flag did go up. I didn't see it do so. But it's a fantastic ball down the line. The flick on from Kudus. Richarlison, oh, it's tight. It's really tight. I don't think Ruben Diaz slips, in fact. Oh, he does slip. But he's trying to play his man offside, and as he does so, falls to the ground. Richarlison's ball to Johnson's fine. There's no offside in that one. It's just a question as to whether the Brazilian Richarlison has veered beyond Ruben Diaz. And in fact, it may well turn out that that slip from the Portuguese defender is a moment of pure genius, because it will have played Richarlison offside. I think he's on. The left arm plays him on. I think the left leg plays him on. I think this is going to be a goal for Tottenham Hotspur. The referee having a word with VAR. We've seen the VAR graphic come on the monitors in our studio. Thomas Frank concerned, Guardiola more so. And you have to say that it's a tight one, but one that I think should stand. I'm just craning my neck to try and get a better angle. I'm sure those in the VAR studio will have a better angle. And I think that flick on from Kudus and the run from Richarlison is going to count as a goal. And I think you have to say that for all of Manchester City's efforts in this first half so far, they've been unable to direct one past Vicario and into the back of the net. Tottenham Hotspur have had one chance really in this game. And the referee signalling for a goal. The goal stands for Tottenham, and well deserved, you have to say. Brennan Johnson now does celebrate. It was muted at first, but now he runs to that away and pumping his fists, and you can't blame him. Recently booked was the Welshman, but he won't care now. Gets on the end of a fantastic ball across from Richarlison, and it's just a really, really smooth transitioning attacking goal.
Yeah, it's brilliant from Tottenham. We mentioned about Kudus being at the heart of everything that they were going to do in this game, and he was certainly involved for that goal as well. Taking off it away from Richarlison, though. Brilliant play from the centre forward. We know he's capable of playing out wide on the wing, and it shows there as well. Fantastic ball across the face of goal. Johnson gets it on target, gets the power. James Trafford might be a bit disappointed with himself. It's not his fault in any way, but he does get a good bit of contact on it before it flies into the back of the net. Johnson wasn't convinced at all, was he, with his celebration? He pretty much stopped straight away, dead in his tracks, but he'll be happy about it now. Tottenham, yeah, for all of Man City's sort of dominance in the game and possession, they've just not threatened enough against Tottenham Hotspur. Other than that Marmoush chance, we haven't really been mentioning any big opportunities for Pep Guardiola's side. And once again, it's Tottenham Hotspur who are proving to be the curse of Manchester City.
Well, he only conceded 14 goals in the league last season, did James Trafford, for Burnley, in what was a record-breaking promotion with the Clarets. But you have to say, for a player that holds himself to such high standards, he will be a little bit disappointed in himself. There is nothing he can do there, you're right, Josh, in terms of his reaction time, but I think he almost folds himself a little bit too early, goes to ground a little bit too early, and as a result, Johnson's got a whole lot more net to aim at as he comes on to the strike, the Welshman. In the end, though, Spurs won't care about the goalkeeping or the offside questions. They'll just care about the scoreline, and it currently reads Manchester City 0, Tottenham 1. 38 minutes into this Premier League clash of titans, and it is currently the away side who have a slender advantage, but an advantage nonetheless. Jed Spence with a throw-in, flows into Johnson. Johnson back to Spence. Spence back to Johnson. Johnson runs it out of play. Not great play from the Welshman, but again, I'm sure his mind at the moment is elsewhere. He'll have to refocus on the task at hand. But you'd imagine it's such an elating feeling to go away to the Etihad and score. Well, I mentioned at the start of this game, as I was being introduced on the commentary, that Tottenham do have a fairly decent record against Manchester City. Since 2020, they've won 15 if the score stays the same, and it may do so now. Kudus thrown goal, Trafford comes out, and there'll be a question here, I think, from the referee as to whether James Trafford wins that ball cleanly, but the attack's still going for Tottenham. Pedro Porro turns away from his man, gets inside the box. Oh, is that a foul? Reinders the man who goes in on the Spanish fullback. Pedro Porro writhing around on the ground in agony. Not sure how much of that is play acting, but at the moment, City back on with the game. And it's a long ball up for Bob now. I can't get my breath there as the Norwegian racing down on goal. Good tackle from Spence, back to Vicario, who I'm begging to just clear out of play. And it looks as though he is going to find Romero, and then that does.
I can't believe the referee's not giving a foul for it. It looked fairly obvious, even at full speed, that was going to be a foul. Just seen a replay as well of James Trafford going high up the pitch there to get it off of Kudus. Surely it's quite a lot of contact there with Mohamed Kudus, who takes one fully in the chest. So I'm not sure what Peter Banks is playing at the moment. I think they must be checking something there, whether Trafford's come out and just absolutely walloped Kudus, and whether there needs to be anything taken further.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm no expert on the laws of the game, but I don't think anyone is these days with the amount of controversial decisions made by VAR, let's just say. But I'm pretty sure that is a foul from James Trafford, and it doesn't seem to be too much of a controversial thing to say when I've watched the replay a couple of times there. Kudus can't do anything else. It's a long ball forward. Again, it's a sublime touch, bringing it down on his chest first time, and he's going to go around James Trafford there. The English keeper comes out and just pelts him with his knee in the stomach. I mean, yeah, he wins the ball, but that's because he wins all of the man as well. I'm not sure about that one. I think in charge there of the officiating, I'm giving that as a red card for denial of goal scoring opportunity.
I think the other way around as well, it certainly gets given as a foul. If someone goes in like that on a goalkeeper, pretty much every day of the week, you're going to see the referee give a free kick. But as we know, goalkeepers do just tend to be protected, don't they, in the modern game? And I think that's what's happened there to James Trafford. We had no indication of whether it's going to be taken further, or whether it might be a red card given or anything like that. There was man covering around there were men covering back for Manchester City. I think Trafford was just outside his box as well, so not sure there's anything they can do about it. But yeah, already some pretty controversial moments in this game. You always know there's going to be talking points. There's a Manchester City versus Tottenham fixture. We've certainly had that in bucket load so far.
One player who's certainly had a fantastic start to the season is Richarlison. 2 goals and now an assist in his first 2 games, and he certainly does seem to be the player promised to Tottenham Hotspur 2 seasons ago. Long ball forward, looking for Richarlison's poor will go out of play. City have it all to do, really. It looks as though Thomas Frank is going to be able to take this to half-time. Just see another replay again of that one. I honestly cannot say how it's not been given as a foul. I mean, there's a question as to what can Trafford do because the ball's into the box. My answer would be don't come for the ball. If you can't win it, robbed a little bit by the officials. Although I'm, again, only paraphrasing. There's a breaking play again for Tottenham Hotspur to take a throw-in on the near side. Watford have taken the lead again, as well, against Swansea away from home. Imran Kuda, the goal scorer in that fixture. So 3 championship games all kicking. The man wins it back and then lays it back really well. Jed Spence does too much against Rico Lewis. That'll roll off. Jed Spence does too much against Rico Lewis. That'll roll off of the Manchester City fullback and got out of play for a throw-in on the near side, just ahead of the Manchester touchline on this very vast pitch at the Etihad. I mean, it must be so beautiful to play football on. Almost envious when you watch it. It's almost like a carpet, really, for these Manchester City players, but they've been unable to make use of the surface so far. Not scored a goal. They've had a couple of chances, the biggest one of the half falling for Omar Marmoush, but he couldn't convert. Good save from Vicario. A couple of half chances as well, but it's Tottenham Hotspur who have the lead as we approach half-time. We're 2 minutes away from that, after a goal from Brennan Johnson, a fantastic break forward in which Kudus flicked the header over to Richarlison. The Brazilian crossed it into the box for Johnson, who converted with a first-time effort into the back of the net. And it's Thomas Frank's men who have got off to a fantastic start in this first half after a shaky beginning to the first 45. Jed Spence now on the ball, almost on the byline, goes backwards into Bentancur, now in field to Paulinho. Not said his name too many times in this first half, which was also the case in their Premier League opener and the game against Paris Saint-Germain in the Super Cup. He seems to be a player that for Fulham was so crucial in and out of possession, but so far at Tottenham Hotspur and arguably at Bayern Munich as well, not really doing touch with the ball. That being said, he could completely jinx it now as he gets the ball and crosses it in near the touchline. Won back in the end by Kudus, lays it off again for Paulinho. Can he get there? He can. Gets past his man in Ake, but in the end the Dutch defender does well to slide and block that behind for the first corner kick of the game.
Yeah, that's where Ake is really effective, isn't it? Defending down that left-hand side and just getting a foot in at the crucial moments. Great from Paulinho, as you mentioned. Not been involved too much in this game, even though his side is winning. Just sort of charges and keeps going down that right-hand side. It's where all the attacks are coming from for Tottenham Hotspur. They're always making the runs down that way and linking up with Pedro Porro as well. We know how good he is going forward. But yeah, good work from Paulinho just to force the set piece, and see what Tottenham can do now with this corner. It's going to be Kudus over it as well, so you know the delivery is going to be a good one.
Mohamed Kudus then, left-footed in, swinging ball. Tottenham have sent plenty up for it. Man City have plenty back for it, and in the end, neither side needs to do either, because the referee has indicated that there was too much pushing and shoving for his liking. He goes over to have a word with Christian Romero, who I think was just doing a little bit too much on the goalkeeper James Trafford there, and so the corner will be retaken momentarily, and it will be another chance for Kudus on it. And it'll be 7 minutes of added time for West Ham United at the end of this first half. We've already played one of those. The corner kick comes in, it's right to Richarlison, who almost gets his head on it. Marmoush doing well to defend and nod that behind for a goal kick. In fact, it must have come off the head of Richarlison last there. So the goal kick for Manchester City, James Trafford to take it. Frank looks nervous on that touchline. He may not be happy with the added time. I mean, apart from the VAR check and maybe the injury to Nori, I can't really see where they've got 7 from, but it's been won back, and Richarlison now, big chance, sits Trafford down, good save from Trafford, follow-up goes into the back of the net, Paulinho scored out of nothing. Manchester City have played the ball straight to Thomas Frank, and they've given him an absolute gift just before half-time. It's Paulinho. I said he's not been involved at all in this first half, and all of a sudden, James Trafford, well, I'll tell you what, he's going to have a very unhappy dressing room to walk into at half-time. They've tried to go short from the goal kick. I think it's into the feet of Diaz, who makes a meal of it after the pass from his goalkeeper. It's won back by Richarlison, who goes round Trafford. His strike is saved at close range by the goalkeeper, but it falls for Paulinho, who makes no mistake from about 12 yards out. In the end, it's just an absolute mess for Manchester City, and what a gift it is for Tottenham Hotspur.
Oh, it's horrific stuff from James Trafford. He's having an absolute howler in this first half. That pass is never on to Reinders. There's 2 men around him. Saz, got the press on. Richarlison's right next to him as well. Even if it finds the feet of Reinders, there's nothing he's going to be able to do about it. It's horrific play from the goalkeeper. And then, he does make the initial save, but it's just falls to Paulinho, does what he should do, just absolutely smashes it through all those Manchester City bodies. Diaz gets a touch on it, but it's not enough, and it finds the back of the net. Them Tottenham supporters in the away end in absolute dreamland at the moment, seeing this side 2-0 up at Manchester City. We know what the Etihad's been like for Tottenham. It's been a happy hunting ground for a number of years. They won 4-0 here last season. Well, at this rate, they might be looking at the same result.
Absolutely. It looks as though Tottenham's record against Manchester City is going to continue. James Trafford, that was almost reminiscent there of his time in the Premier League with Burnley and Vincent Kompany. There were so many times where Kompany wanted to play the Guardiola way, as ironically, I think the person manning the camera should get a pay rise because he's just panned perfectly to Ederson on the Manchester City bench, who looks a confused figure, really, is the way I'm going to put it. And maybe that mistake from James Trafford will give Pep Guardiola plenty to think about. Ederson is on the bench, and I'm not insinuating there should be a substitution, but perhaps he won't be on the bench next week for Manchester City, because there are only so many mistakes that you can make under Guardiola. We've seen it so many times with so many City players that have joined and left and not really featured enough because of their early impression, and I think it's those impressions that really do count. Ball forward for Cherki, if you can bring it down at fantastic defending from Jed Spence to just win the initial battle, then a lovely flick from Porro to go over the head of Gonzalez and then carry it infield. He's still going with the ball, heavy touch though, Rico Lewis should win it, then Richarlison steams over, he's brought down, but it's a free kick initially for the challenge from Porro on Cherki. Richarlison not happy with that from the referee, but probably the correct decision in the end. Rico Lewis takes it quickly into Gonzalez. Richarlison looks like a rabid dog just sprinting after everyone that touches the ball in a blue shirt. Reinders brings it forward, plays it square into Lewis. Lewis then to Bob. Oscar Bob now up against 2. Quick footwork from the Norwegian, but unable to really create some space. Does now. Jed Spence comes across, fantastic defending, even though he slips over. Although it will be a corner kick, the linesman has indicated. I'm not going to repeat what Jed Spence has just said to the linesman, but it wasn't well done.
So it certainly was. I thought it was actually a goal kick as well upon initial reflection of it, but nevertheless, set piece to Man City. It's going to be Cherki coming across to take it. Just a word on him, we've barely really been able to mention him. He's not got involved nearly enough for Man City. A few nice touches, which we know what he's all about, and he's just put the corner there. It's not even beat the first man. Really not impressive there from the Frenchman. I think in the second half he's really got to show what he's about. We're talking about, Trafford maybe getting rotated. We know how ruthless Pep Guardiola is. Performances like this from Shirky where he's just not involved in the game at all. That certainly won't help him going into the next game. But here's Marmoush now.
Marmoush taking on his man. He had the overlapping run of Reinders again. It's a poor touch for him. It was picked up by Gonzalez. Charleston snapping across back to Shirky. Dinked ball is not a bad one to the back post, but really good defending from Paulinho to get there because Reinders was lurking. Ake then comes in a 50-50 with Paulinho. The Spurs man wins it, but it'll fall back towards Tajani Reinders, and then he's just almost dragging that ball away from goal. Plays it square into Shirky. He's got shooting space, but we're going to send to Bob. This time only one to beat. Back into Shirky. Feeds it through. Too much. It's too elaborate, it's too technical, and it's too sloppy really from Manchester City. They're trying to walk the ball into the net really. They need someone to just pick the ball up on the edge of the area and hit one.
Yeah, we've seen this problem, hasn't we, in recent years from Man City. They're trying to do too much and try and score the perfect goal. We've seen the way that Tottenham are doing it. They're a lot more direct when they finally get into those areas. It's what happens with Paulinho as well. You feel like with that second goal Tottenham score, if it's Man City on the other side of it, they're going to try and dance around those three Man City defenders that are in the way of it and try and walk the ball into the goal rather than just having the shot as Bob drives into the box, goes down. Peter Banks points for a corner.
Yeah, he's got to get up there. Oscar Bob, it's poor. He's just trying to get between Romero and Spence, and as soon as he feels contact, goes down. But it's a corner kick taken quickly from Shirky. Goes into Bob, back to the Frenchman. Cuts inside, ball to Haaland! Oh, no! No, Erling Haaland. How's he missed it? It's on a plate for the striker, the talisman of world football. And he's got the goal gaping ahead of him. It's a fantastic cross. It's perhaps just a little bit too high for the number 9 to convert, but even still, he's got to score.
Yeah, he's got to get that on target, hasn't he, Erling Haaland? How many times in that position have we seen him just bury the ball in the back of it? I've just been criticising Shirky as well for how this first half's gone. That's a lot better from him. That takes the set piece shot, which he probably should do after the way that the first one just a couple of moments ago went. Nice ball towards Haaland, on a plate for him. Just can't quite get over it enough to put it goalwards.
Ball from Vicario, finds the head of Spence, but we flicked on, but only as far as a Manchester City man, and that is
the ball into the net. Half time, lots of work to do for Man City. Half time at the Etihad Stadium, and Thomas Frank. Half time. Half time. What to do for Man City. After a lengthy VAR check by 2 goals to nil. The first goal coming courtesy of Welsh international Brendan Johnson could have slipped the ball through to Richarlison, who, after a lengthy VAR check, was proven to be onside. He put it across the box for Johnson to finish past James Trafford, and that was 1-0. Trafford won't want to see the second goal back. Playing out from the back, massive mistake from him. Led João Palhinha to smash the ball home. Lots of work to do in the second half for Manchester City. Half-time at the Etihad Stadium, and Tottenham Hotspur and Thomas Frank are in absolute dreamland at the moment. They lead Manchester City by 2-0. The first goal coming courtesy of the Welsh international Brendan Johnson. Kuda slipped the ball through to Richarlison, who, after a lengthy VAR check, was proven to be onside. He put it across the box for Johnson to finish past James Trafford, and that was 1-0. Trafford won't want to see the second goal back. Playing out from the back, massive mistake from him. Led João Palhinha to smash the ball home. Lots of work to do in the second half for Manchester City. Half-time at the Etihad Stadium, and Tottenham Hotspur and Thomas Frank are in absolute dreamland at the moment. They lead Manchester City by 2-0. The first goal coming courtesy of the Welsh international Brendan Johnson. Kuda slipped the ball through to Richarlison, who, after a lengthy VAR check, was proven to be onside. He put it across the box for Johnson to finish past James Trafford, and that was 1-0. Trafford won't want to see the second goal back. Playing out from the back, massive mistake from him. Led João Palhinha to smash the ball home. Lots of work to do in the second half for Manchester City. Half-time at the Etihad Stadium, and Tottenham Hotspur and Thomas Frank are in absolute dreamland at the moment. They lead Manchester City by 2-0. The first goal coming courtesy of the Welsh international Brendan Johnson. Kuda slipped the ball through to Richarlison, who, after a lengthy VAR check, was proven to be onside. He put it across the box for Johnson to finish past James Trafford, and that was 1-0. Trafford won't want to see the second goal back. Playing out from the back, massive mistake from him. Led João Palhinha to smash the ball home. Lots of work to do in the second half for Manchester City. Half-time at the Etihad Stadium, and Tottenham Hotspur and Thomas Frank are in absolute dreamland at the moment. They lead Manchester City by 2-0. The first goal coming courtesy of the Welsh international Brendan Johnson. Kuda slipped the ball through to Richarlison, who, after a lengthy VAR check, was proven to be onside. He put it across the box for Johnson to finish past James Trafford, and that was 1-0. Trafford won't want to see the second goal back. Playing out from the back, massive mistake from him. Led João Palhinha to smash the ball home. Lots of work to do in the second half for Manchester City. Half-time at the Etihad Stadium, and Tottenham Hotspur and Thomas Frank are in absolute dreamland at the moment. They lead Manchester City by 2-0. The first goal coming courtesy of the Welsh international Brendan Johnson. Kuda slipped the ball through to Richarlison, who, after a lengthy VAR check, was proven to be onside. He put it across the box for Johnson to finish past James Trafford, and that was 1-0. Trafford won't want to see the second goal back. Playing out from the back, massive mistake from him. Led João Palhinha to smash the ball home. Lots of work to do in the second half for Manchester City. Half-time at the Etihad Stadium, and Tottenham Hotspur and Thomas Frank are in absolute dreamland at the moment. They lead Manchester City by 2-0. The first goal coming courtesy of the Welsh international Brendan Johnson. Kuda slipped the ball through to Richarlison, who, after a lengthy VAR check, was proven to be onside. He put it across the box for Johnson to finish past James Trafford, and that was 1-0. Trafford won't want to see the second goal back. Playing out from the back, massive mistake from him. Led João Palhinha to smash the ball home. Lots of work to do in the second half for Manchester City. Half-time at the Etihad Stadium, and Tottenham Hotspur and Thomas Frank are in absolute dreamland at the moment. They lead Manchester City by 2-0. The first goal coming courtesy of the Welsh international Brendan Johnson. Kuda slipped the ball through to Richarlison, who, after a lengthy VAR check, was proven to be onside. He put it across the box for Johnson to finish past James Trafford, and that was 1-0. Trafford won't want to see the second goal back. Playing out from the back, massive mistake from him. Led João Palhinha to smash the ball home. Lots of work to do in the second half for Manchester City. Half-time at the Etihad Stadium, and Tottenham Hotspur and Thomas Frank are in absolute dreamland at the moment. They lead Manchester City by 2-0. The first goal coming courtesy of the Welsh international Brendan Johnson. Kuda slipped the ball through to Richarlison, who, after a lengthy VAR check, was proven to be onside. He put it across the box for Johnson to finish past James Trafford, and that was 1-0. Trafford won't want to see the second goal back. Playing out from the back, massive mistake from him. Led João Palhinha to smash the ball home. Lots of work to do in the second half for Manchester City. Half-time at the Etihad Stadium, and Tottenham Hotspur and Thomas Frank are in absolute dreamland at the moment. They lead Manchester City by 2-0. The first goal coming courtesy of the Welsh international Brendan Johnson. Kuda slipped the ball through to Richarlison, who, after a lengthy VAR check, was proven to be onside. He put it across the box for Johnson to finish past James Trafford, and that was 1-0. Trafford won't want to see the second goal back. Playing out from the back, massive mistake from him. Led João Palhinha to smash the ball home. Lots of work to do in the second half for Manchester City. Half-time at the Etihad Stadium, and Tottenham Hotspur and Thomas Frank are in absolute dreamland at the moment. They lead Manchester City by 2-0. The first goal coming courtesy of the Welsh international Brendan Johnson. Kuda slipped the ball through to Richarlison, who, after a lengthy VAR check, was proven to be onside. He put it across the box for Johnson to finish past James Trafford, and that was 1-0. Trafford won't want to see the second goal back. Playing out from the back, massive mistake from him. Led João Paulinho to smash the ball home. Lots of work to do in the second half for Manchester City. Half-time at the Etihad Stadium, and Tottenham Hotspur and Thomas Frank are in absolute dreamland at the moment. They lead Manchester City by 2-0. The first goal coming courtesy of the Welsh international Brendan Johnson. Kuda slipped the ball through to Richarlison, who, after a lengthy VAR check, was proven to be onside. He put it across the box for Johnson to finish past James Trafford, and that was 1-0. Trafford won't want to see the second goal back. Playing out from the back, massive mistake from him. Led João Paulinho to smash the ball home. Lots of work to do in the second half for Manchester City. Half-time at the Etihad Stadium, and Tottenham Hotspur and Thomas Frank are in absolute dreamland at the moment. They lead Manchester City by 2-0. The first goal coming courtesy of the Welsh international Brendan Johnson. Kuda slipped the ball through to Richarlison, who, after a lengthy VAR check, was proven to be onside. He put it across the box for Johnson to finish past James Trafford, and that was 1-0. Trafford won't want to see the second goal back. Playing out from the back, massive mistake from him. Led João Paulinho to smash the ball home. Lots of work to do in the second half for Manchester City. Half-time at the Etihad Stadium, and Tottenham Hotspur and Thomas Frank are in absolute dreamland at the moment. They lead Manchester City by 2-0. The first goal coming courtesy of the Welsh international Brendan Johnson. Kuda slipped the ball through to Richarlison, who, after a lengthy VAR check, was proven to be onside. He put it across the box for Johnson to finish past James Trafford, and that was 1-0. Trafford won't want to see the second goal back. Playing out from the back, massive mistake from him. Led João Paulinho to smash the ball home. Lots of work to do in the second half for Manchester City. Half-time at the Etihad Stadium, and Tottenham Hotspur and Thomas Frank are in absolute dreamland at the moment. They lead Manchester City by 2-0. The first goal coming courtesy of the Welsh international Brendan Johnson. Kuda slipped the ball through to Richarlison, who, after a lengthy VAR check, was proven to be onside. He put it across the box for Johnson to finish past James Trafford, and that was 1-0. Trafford won't want to see the second goal back. Playing out from the back, massive mistake from him. Led João Paulinho to smash the ball home. Lots of work to do in the second half for Manchester City. Half-time at the Etihad Stadium, and Tottenham Hotspur and Thomas Frank are in absolute dreamland at the moment. They lead Manchester City by 2-0. The first goal coming courtesy of the Welsh international Brendan Johnson. Kuda slipped the ball through to Richarlison, who, after a lengthy VAR check, was proven to be onside. He put it across the box for Johnson to finish past James Trafford, and that was 1-0. Trafford won't want to see the second goal back. Playing out from the back, massive mistake from him. Led João Paulinho to smash the ball home. Lots of work to do in the second half for Manchester City. Half-time at the Etihad Stadium, and Tottenham Hotspur and Thomas Frank are in absolute dreamland at the moment. They lead Manchester City by 2-0. The first goal coming courtesy of the Welsh international Brendan Johnson. Kuda slipped the ball through to Richarlison, who, after a lengthy VAR check, was proven to be onside. He put it across the box for Johnson to finish past James Trafford, and that was 1-0. Trafford won't want to see the second goal back. Playing out from the back, massive mistake from him. Led João Paulinho to smash the ball home. Lots of work to do in the second half for Manchester City. Half-time at the Etihad Stadium, and Tottenham Hotspur and Thomas Frank are in absolute dreamland at the moment. They lead Manchester City by 2-0. The first goal coming courtesy of the Welsh international Brendan Johnson. Kuda slipped the ball through to Richarlison, who, after a lengthy VAR check, was proven to be onside. He put it across the box for Johnson to finish past James Trafford, and that was 1-0. Trafford won't want to see the second goal back. Playing out from the back, massive mistake from him. Led João Paulinho to smash the ball home. Lots of work to do in the second half for Manchester City. Half-time at the Etihad Stadium, and Tottenham Hotspur and Thomas Frank are in absolute dreamland at the moment. They lead Manchester City by 2-0. The first goal coming courtesy of the Welsh international Brendan Johnson. Kuda slipped the ball through to Richarlison, who, after a lengthy VAR check, was proven to be onside. He put it across the box for Johnson to finish past James Trafford, and that was 1-0. Trafford won't want to see the second goal back. Playing out from the back, massive mistake from him. Led João Paulinho to smash the ball home. Lots of work to do in the second half for Manchester City. Half-time at the Etihad Stadium, and Tottenham Hotspur and Thomas Frank are in absolute dreamland at the moment. They lead Manchester City by 2-0. The first goal coming courtesy of the Welsh international Brendan Johnson. Kuda slipped the ball through to Richarlison, who, after a lengthy VAR check, was proven to be onside. He put it across the box for Johnson to finish past James Trafford, and that was 1-0. Trafford won't want to see the second goal back. Playing out from the back, massive mistake from him. Led João Paulinho to smash the ball home. Lots of work to do in the second half for Manchester City. Half-time at the Etihad Stadium, and Tottenham Hotspur and Thomas Frank are in absolute dreamland at the moment. They lead Manchester City by 2-0. The first goal coming courtesy of the Welsh international Brendan Johnson. Kuda slipped the ball through to Richarlison, who, after a lengthy VAR check, was proven to be onside. He put it across the box for Johnson to finish past James Trafford, and that was 1-0. Trafford won't want to see the second goal back. Playing out from the back, massive mistake from him. Led João Palhinha to smash the ball home. Lots of work to do in the second half for Manchester City. Half-time at the Etihad Stadium, and Tottenham Hotspur and Thomas Frank are in absolute dreamland at the moment. They lead Manchester City by 2-0. The first goal coming courtesy of the Welsh international Brendan Johnson. Kuda slipped the ball through to Richarlison, who, after a lengthy VAR check, was proven to be onside. He put it across the box for Johnson to finish past James Trafford, and that was 1-0. Trafford won't want to see the second goal back. Playing out from the back, massive mistake from him. Led João Palhinha to smash the ball home. Lots of work to do in the second half for Manchester City. Half-time at the Etihad Stadium, and Tottenham Hotspur and Thomas Frank are in absolute dreamland at the moment. They lead Manchester 2-0. The first goal coming courtesy of the Welsh international Brendan Johnson. Kuda slipped the ball through to Richarlison, who, after a lengthy VAR check, was proven to be onside. He put it across the box for Johnson to finish past James Trafford, and that was 1-0. Trafford won't want to see the second goal back. Playing out from the back, massive mistake from him. Led João Palhinha to smash the ball home. Lots of work to do in the second half for Manchester City. Half-time at the Etihad Stadium, and Tottenham Hotspur and Thomas Frank are in absolute dreamland at the moment. They lead Manchester City by 2-0. The first goal coming courtesy of the Welsh international Brendan Johnson. Kuda slipped the ball through to Richarlison, who, after a lengthy VAR check, was proven to be onside. He put it across the box for Johnson to finish past James Trafford, and that was 1-0. Trafford won't want to see the second goal back. Playing out from the back, massive mistake from him. Led João Palhinha to smash the ball home. Lots of work to do in the second half for Manchester City. Half-time at the Etihad Stadium, and Tottenham Hotspur and Thomas Frank are in absolute dreamland at the moment. They lead Manchester City by 2-0. The first goal coming courtesy of back, playing out from the back, massive mistake from him. Led João Palhinha to smash the ball home. Lots of work to do in the second half for Manchester City. Half-time at the Etihad Stadium, and Tottenham Hotspur and Thomas Frank are in absolute dreamland at the moment. They lead Man by 2-0. The first goal coming courtesy of the Welsh international Brendan Johnson. Kuda slipped the ball through to Richarlison, who, after a lengthy VAR check, was proven to be onside. He put it across the box for Johnson to finish past James Trafford, and that was 1-0. Trafford won't want to see the second goal back. Playing out. And we'll leave that just there. Very warm welcome back to this independent, unofficial off-tube studio commentary of this Premier League. Manchester City and Tottenham Hotspur. We're back underway at the Etihad for the second half, as we sort of lead on from that blockbuster of a first half for Tottenham Hotspur, leading 2-0 at the Etihad. We know what a happy hunting ground it's been in recent years for them. They won 4-0 here last season. I'm looking to repeat that result now. They find themselves halfway to getting that result again. 2 goals coming for them. It was Brendan Johnson who got the first one, the Welshman, firing home from Richarlison's cross goal. Maybe a bit that James Trafford could have done with saving that shot. If the second goal was anything to go by, though, Trafford should have done a hell of a lot more. He was trying to pass it around the back, looking for Tijani Reinders. The pass was never on. It was snuffed out by Tottenham Hotspur, and eventually led to João Palhinha firing past a few Manchester City bodies to double the lead. Tottenham are coming forward as well here at the start of the second half. It's Jed Spence up towards the corner flag. Advantage being played by Peter Banks, and Spence has to come back on himself for the moment. Richarlison is down injured. Tottenham eventually surrendering possession, and Manchester City can try and build out from the back once more. They'll have to be a lot better at it than they were in the first half. It's myself, Joshua Making, alongside me is James Smedley, taking you through this one. James, it's pretty much the perfect first half for Tottenham, finding themselves 2 goals up against one of the favourites for the league title this season. What have they got to do now just to keep that lead?
Well, it seems to me this game is now, a bit of a coin flip. Either you're going to have the Thomas Frank Spurs that bottled the 2-0 lead against Paris Saint-Germain and then lost on penalties, or you're going to have the Spurs of last season that went on to win this fixture 4-0. It really is a toss-up between which way it's going to go. One thing's for certain, we will have more goals in this game, I can absolutely assure you.
Yeah, it almost looks a certainty. Manchester City are going to be going for it as much as they can in this one. They have possession now out on the right with Oscar Bob cutting in on his left before laying off to Shirky. That's a nice ball as well down the middle. Might be a chance here. Cut across goal out towards Nathan Aki on that left foot. Great sliding tackle though from Palhinha. Collects it clear as well, but Manchester City just throwing down a little bit of a statement at the start of the second half.
Yeah, it's a fantastic ball through to Reinders on that right hand side. He does everything well to cut it back. I think Ake needs to hit it first time. I mean, yeah, he's not an offensive player by any means, and you do just think, if that's like Nori, who had to be substituted in the first half, instead of Nathan Ake, that may well be 2-1 and Man City with an early goal. But as it stands, he takes the touch and then just takes too long to pull the trigger. Good block in the end from Paulinho, but one he should have made.
Yeah, so Man City just playing it around on the edge of the area there. Passes in between each other before Tottenham cleared. It's only as far as Rico Lewis though. Diaz is now stepping forward. He's got Ake out towards his left. Marmoush spreading the pitch as wide as he can. Marmoush now having a run at Pedro Porro. Gets stuck underneath his feet, and that's great defending from Kudus just to come back and get himself in front of the ball. Perro now hammers it downfield. There's going to be a lot of that, you'd imagine, in this second half from Tottenham Hotspur, just getting it clear as much as they can and sitting on this 2-goal lead. There's been no changes at the interval, so it's the same lineups. We'll just repeat them for you though. For Manchester City, it's Trafford in goal. The back four: Lewis, Stones and Diaz. Obviously Nathan Ake had to replace Aït-Nouri just about midway through the first half. It's Reinders and Gonzalez in midfield. Bob, Cherki and Marmoush in behind Haaland. And I'll just break off as Oscar Bob is advancing now down the right, goes for the strike almost. Great tackle though from Benson Kurt, and Tottenham can try and break themselves out. Great tackle again from Romero. The sliding tackles are flying in at the moment from either side as Richarlison and Stones come together. Exactly what you want to see in a game like this between two of the big clubs in the Premier League. For Tottenham, it's Vicario in goal. Back four is Porro, Romero, Van de Ven and Spence. Midfield three of Benson Kurt, Paulinho in the middle and Sarr to his right. Kudus on the right, Johnson on the left, and Richarlison obviously playing through the middle. Just about 4 minutes of the way through the second half, and it's been a feisty start to the second 45 minutes here in Manchester. And, Tottenham just trying to come forward there down the right before City eventually win it back. Great scrapping in the midfield. Tiani Reinders with some lovely footwork to get himself out of danger as well before finding Marmoush. Stones is in a bit of space now just to drive the ball up to the halfway line. Tottenham do have players but organised and in the way of it. That's going to be the question now about this Tottenham Hotspur team. Can they protect this 2-goal lead? There will be the questions asked after how they threw that one away, as James mentioned, to Paris Saint-Germain in the Super Cup final. They're looking to do a job of that, but City have already looked like maybe if they were able to expose that Tottenham back line.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's just those slide draw balls through the back line that are proving to be most fruitful for Manchester City. The home side have not really created anything since that Marmoush big chance before Spurs scored 2 goals in rapid succession. But I do think if they are going to unlock this Thomas Frank defence and are going to get back into the game, it's those kind of really acute passes through the back line, along the ground, that just split the back two, or especially the balls between Jed Spence and Romero and Van de Ven and Pedro Porro, the fullbacks and the centre halves. There's gaps between those two sets of players at the back in that flat back four for Tottenham. If they can get it right, as they have done on a number of occasions, and then it's just that final ball that they need to maybe just improve a tiny bit. If they can do that, I'm sure there are goals in this for Pep Guardiola's men.
Yeah, there certainly is. There's a lot of good players on the bench as well that were just being shown the pictures of. Phil Fodd, Jeremy Doku, I'm sure they'd like to try and get at this Tottenham defence, but at the moment here is Oscar Bob. Like to now with Reinders. Bob's going to make the run through, but Reinders going to go alone. Lovely footwork, but just too much again in the end. Spence is in the way of him just to clear his lines. So as far as Stones on the halfway line, and City will launch yet another wave of attacks in the wake of this, you'd imagine. Gonzalez now towards Cherki, bringing it under his spell before finding Rico Lewis to his right. Bob's making the overlapping run once more. Bob in towards Cherki now, just on the edge, trying to work the opening for the shot. Good footwork initially before Sarr got the tackle in. Tottenham dispossessed on the edge of their own area once more. There was Bob floats the cross in. Haaland was up there to meet the header, couldn't direct it goalwards. In fact, he turned it the other way, just couldn't quite turn his head enough to get it on target. This is much better from Manchester City. They're really applying the pressure here at the start of the second half. 6 minutes in, it's still City 0, Tottenham 2. As the ball from Cherki's got way too much on it in the end for Marmoush to get on the end of, and it will roll out for a goal kick. But yeah, this is better from City, just that sustained pressure. You'd imagine 40-45 minutes left of this, Tottenham are going to be broken down at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. They are turning the screw on Manchester City at home. The home crowd getting behind them, and they'll want a goal and they'll want one early. We're almost 10 minutes into the second half and no breakthrough as of yet. Still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 2, but it could change now. It's been won back in the area, but Haaland can't get the pass right. Falls for Cherki, stabs at goal. Still not away in the end. A free kick given, and I think Tottenham Hotspur, well, they've almost conceded in identical fashion to how they scored their second. It's a mistake at the back from Vicario after Romero is given the role of the goal kick. He plays it square. It's a poor touch from Van de Ven. Won back by Mermouche. Haaland squares it for Cherki, but I don't think the Norwegian striker's looking where he's passing. In the end, it just evades the Frenchman. And the foul won by Paulinho as he intercepts the ball.
Really clever from Paulinho, isn't it, there? Just to turn his back towards Cherki and draw the foul in from the attacker. It's been a recurring theme, though, of this game. Poor playing out from the back. But here's Jed Spence now up the other end, trying to cut in on his right foot on the edge of the area. Can't find a way past Bob. In comes the cross now towards Sarr, who meets it, heads it on for Richarlison, who couldn't get there ahead of James Trafford, who's alert and ready this time. Maybe a bit of boiling over there from Ruben Diaz and Richarlison before the two finally part ways. Richarlison probably not happy about something in the middle of that, and Peter Banks will just speak to the two. But yeah, Pape Sarr, not mention his name too much, but lovely header behind him, just couldn't quite find Richarlison.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of an afters there, because James Trafford almost shoves the Brazilian out of the way, and then I think Ruben Diaz senses that Richarlison's not happy, and charges him. We'll just see a replay actually of that Manchester City chance after a mistake from the goalkeeper, and I think Manchester City players have made a bit of a case that there's a foul from Van de Ven on Oscar Bob, because Van de Ven treads on the Norwegian's foot as he plays the ball inside to fellow countryman Erling Haaland. Nothing doing though, and there are changes now being made. Marmouche departs. I think that's a surprising one for me. I think he's been Manchester City's best attacking outlet in this game, but alas, Jamie Doku involved.
Yeah, I would agree that Marmouche has looked the most threatening so far for Manchester City, but Pep Guardiola clearly does know quite a lot more about football than me, so we'll see how that works. City now back to the side that they started that game against Wolves with the introductions of Silva and Doku for Cherki and Marmouche. So Pep Guardiola clearly hoping for a repeat of the performance that they saw at Molineux. It's going to be a lot tougher though to break this Tottenham side down than it was to break down Wolves last week. I'm sure they'll throw everything at it though, but here is Rico Lewis now linking up with Bob, who's stayed on the field. Reinders comes up to support him. Bob now as far wide as he can be, tries to drift in. His touch is too heavy though with his dribble, and Tottenham take clear control of it once more. Johnson now into the middle, tries to float it over for Kudus. It's a good ball as well to find Kudus. Maybe it took him a bit wider than he would have wanted. Ake eventually makes the challenge and will clear that one as well. It's only as far as Paulinho though in the middle, who's had a real impressive performance so far on his full Tottenham debut in the Premier League. He's been commanding, scored the second goal. Of course, that is one of the two difference makers between the two sides at the moment. It's just past the 10-minute mark of the second half, 55 minutes played. Still Man City 0, Tottenham Hotspur 2, and Tottenham with it at the back at the moment. There's been a couple of goals around the grounds in the early kickoffs as well. Looks like Leicester have taken the lead at the Valley against Charlton Athletic. Abdul Fattah with the goal there, as more challenges fly in at the Etihad, and Tottenham are away now down the centre with Porro. Kudus in space to his right. Kudus coming inside as you would expect him to do. I think Tottenham are going to maybe stop the game, but Porro puts the cross in. Richarlison going up for it. It's good defending at the back just to hold him off from Rico Lewis. Richarlison was making the diving run, however he just couldn't quite get himself ahead of Rico Lewis.
Yeah, I think that's a foul really from the Brazilian on the back of Rico Lewis, because he just overcommits for the header, which wasn't really there. Rico Lewis gets the wrong side of the Brazilian and shielding the ball. That being said, Richarlison of course has a pretty significant area advantage over the recently introduced England player, Manchester City's graduate. It's good play from Tottenham again. I mean, they've been positive since going 2 up, and especially to the start of this second half. They've done well to maintain a threat, but also look defensively sound, aside from that chance that they gifted Manchester City as well, that Paulinho won a clever free kick for to just break up the attack. Man City coming forward again though. They've worked it well from goalkeeper to now Oscar Bob, the winger, and plenty of bodies coming forward for them.
Yeah, Silva now, that's a poor pass done. Bentancur's right in the way of it. He might be able to launch a counter-attack here as well. The Argentine is charging forward. Sarr's over to his right, opts for Johnson on his left now, into the final third. Brennan Johnson goes for the curling effort from the edge of the area. Got way too much underneath it. He will regret that one. It was a good chance for Tottenham to really pound the misery on Man City there.
Deary me, Brennan Johnson. Talk about decision making in big moments, and I think Thomas Frank is sharing my frustration here as you just see a replay of it now. Bentancur, I mean, he's been almost revolutionary in the 3 games that he's played for Tottenham Hotspur since Thomas Frank's arrival. He wins that ball 3 times. He's done it so many times in this first half, second half, where he's made sliding challenges and got them absolutely right. He gets it right again. He drives the ball forward. Johnson makes the run. He doesn't have, I don't think, the energy in the bank, Brendan Johnson, which is surprising because we're only 57 minutes in to this clash. But he gives up, then gets the ball short, and then eventually goes for goal when he had the options of Sarr running through. Kudus, fantastic feet from him though, but eventually taken off his toes. But back now to Sarr, and Spurs looking for a 3rd goal perhaps.
Yeah, they're looking the more likely of the 2 sides to score the next goal at the moment. That was lovely play from Kudus once again. He always manages to do that, just takes himself out of really sticky situations with some fantastic footwork and pace. No idea how he managed to get around the 3 Manchester City players there, but he did so, and Tottenham have maintained possession since. They're not really going too far forward with it as it stands before Porro finds Kudus. Good little play there from Porro just to step inside, but he's dispossessed. Great strength from Paulinho against Bernardo Silva. A bit of a mismatch there, and Brennan Johnson could be in here, but his touch is way too heavy. It falls now to Spence on the edge of the area. It was Stones, who made the challenge to stop him. There's Sarr, nice back heel to find Spence just behind him. Eventually Tottenham happy just to sit in on that one once more, but yeah, you can see what's happening here, can't you? Man City, of course they're going to go for it. They're 2-0 up, they're trying to get the numbers forward as quickly as possible, but in doing so they're leaving the spaces open, and when they're dispossessed, Tottenham look like taking full control of it. Kudus just pelts it round his man there. He's not going to get anything out of it though, and he will concede the goal kick.
Well, they're taking control and they're taking the mick a little bit, to be blunt, are Thomas Frank's men at the moment. You know, Brennan Johnson and Jed Spence on the left hand side are dummying the ball to each other, flicking step overs. See the chance from Johnson early. If that's a better touch, that's a goal for Tottenham Hotspur in a third of the afternoon. They really are. It looks as though they're enjoying their football, the Tottenham players, which is not something that you could say for a large part of last season under Ange Postecoglou. But the way things are going, Tottenham, I think, are going to be right up there this season. They have dominated Man City in this second half, especially. You know, there was an early flurry in which, you know, they probably should have scored. The mistake at the back from Vicario and Van de Ven, accumulating a big chance that couldn't be taken thanks to good intervention from Paulinho. But other than that, Manchester City have created nothing, and Tottenham, you said it, Josh, they look the more likely to score, and by a long margin as well.
Yeah, they certainly do. Thomas Frank's Tottenham really are looking like the real deal at the moment, aren't they? There's a lot of questions after Ange Postecoglou lost his job in the summer after winning Tottenham the first major trophy in quite a lot of years. But I'd have to say the appointment of Thomas Frank, I think, is pretty much the smartest one they could have made. Premier League proven manager. He's got Tottenham on the way at the moment to what will be another famous 3 points at the Etihad Stadium. Looking to add to it now though. They've got a set piece in a dangerous position of the field there. It's halfway inside the Man City half. On the right, it's Porro who's standing over it. I think Kudus is there as well, but it's going to be Porro towards the back post. Richarlison heads it across goal, over the goal as well. Just loops up over the crossbar. He's appealing for the corner kick. He's not going to get it, but Tottenham showing the set piece side to the game there.
Well, he looks like an animal, Richarlison, in this game. He's been absolutely relentless against that Man City back line. I mean, you've always got a feel for Ruben Diaz. You know, he spent a lot of time out last year with absence through injury. He's not the best reintroduction, and today Richarlison's absolutely had him. Seen it again here. It's a ball from the goalkeeper, James Trafford, who, I mean, himself has had an afternoon to forget. He plays it wide. This time, he doesn't play it straight to a Tottenham player, but it doesn't matter, because it goes to him anyway. He's played far across the back line from Ake, then to Diaz. Diaz's ball looking for Ake again down the line is overhit as an understatement, flies out of play for a throw-in. Manchester City look absolutely rattled. It's looking like child's play for Spurs at the moment. Thomas Frank, he couldn't have asked for an easier trip to Manchester this afternoon. They look like picking up all 3 points and some goals.
Yeah, they really do. They just can't live with the press that Tottenham are compounding on them at the moment. It's real intense from that front line. Every time here's the ball from Kudus towards the back, Richarlison's up for it again and he wins the header once again. This time it doesn't loop onto the goal, it's just a little bit wide, but he's really adding that to his game at the moment, isn't he? Richarlison, that aerial threat, we always know he's possessed it, never really seen it in its full potential, but there he is again at the back post, looks in an absolute handful.
Honestly, I mean, Manchester City have not had the ball in the Spurs half, and they've done it again here. They've got the ball for a goal kick, they've played it around, it's gone into Shani Reinders, probably the best player in this Manchester City side since he's joined. A fantastic progression of the ball, a great passer, and he just pinged it straight to Vicario from his own half. I can't understand it from Guardiola. I don't know what the game plan is here. It seemed as though it was almost as though they had a game plan to score in the first 10 minutes, and if they didn't, they're going to shut up shop and not bother. Because that's what it looks like at the moment. They didn't score. Spurs have had 73% possession in the last 10 minutes. It's an absolute embarrassment from Pep Guardiola at home against this side. They're 2-0 down, and this is the first time now that they've come forward in the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, here is Nathan Ake now with Doku, who's barely been involved since coming on. He's going to have a run at Porro though. Tries to take it to his left, way too heavy with the dribbling once more. Seen that time and time again, haven't we, from Doku in his Man City career. Got bags of pace and trickery, but just too much from himself.
Yeah, it's rubbish. He gets the ball down the byline, he's got to get to the byline and put a cross in. Haaland's waiting. I mean, they may as well bring Marcus Rashford on because Haaland is starving up top. He's not had anything the entire game. And Doku, you've got to put the ball in. You've got to beat your man and then play the cross. He beats his man and he just keeps going. And then all of a sudden it's out of play. Vicario's got a goal kick, and again, pressure off for Tottenham. To say that they are 2-0 up at the Etihad, play against one of notoriously the greatest sides in world football, if not the Premier League, over the last 10 years. Manchester City have not laid a glove on them. And here's Richarlison again throwing goal. The offside flag goes up to spare John Stones' blushes because Richarlison had him for pace there. I mean, we're 63 minutes in, and I can't see a way that Manchester City score 1, never mind 3 to win the game.
They don't look like even creating a chance at the moment, do they? It's really poor from them. Phil Foden must be wondering what he can do and why he's not coming on at this point.
Absolutely.
Surely make an impact in this one. Oscar Bobb's barely done enough with his possession of the ball as Ake looks to find Jeremy Doku. And I think, James, as well, it's crucial what you mentioned in the first half about Ryan Aït-Nouri being withdrawn from the field and having Ake. They've just lost that left side completely going forward at Manchester City. They must be hoping that Aït-Nouri's injury is not a serious one and that they can get him and maybe even Vardio back as soon as they can. Obviously Vardio's looking like a bit of a long-term injury, and Aït-Nouri was in a lot of pain himself. Whether City go and buy another left back now in the final remainder of the window remains to be seen, but I'm sure they'll be thinking about it. Porro just puts that one up towards Richarlison. I mentioned that goals had been going in around the ground in the EFL. They certainly have done. I mentioned Leicester had gone in front against Charlton at the Valley. Blackburn have now made it 3-0 against Hull City. So Hull's good start to the season quickly being undone there by Blackburn and Ismail's side. Watford still leading 1-0 away at Swansea. Cardiff have gone in front in the game at Kenilworth Road against Luton. That's a big goal between two of the favourites for promotion from League One this season. Rotherham and Wigan have both managed to score in that game, so that's 1-1. MK Dons have overturned that 1-goal deficit against Newport to now lead 2-1 in Wales. Walsall still leading 1-0 against Salford in League 2. So those are the updated scores around the grounds. Still 2-0 in our game as we just approach the 65 minute, still 2-0 yeah, I should say, as we approach 65 minutes in this one at the Etihad. Tottenham Hotspur still looking extremely comfortable. No indication as well from Pep Guardiola that he's going to change things up again anytime soon. Bernardo Silva and Doku have been introduced to the fray, but ever since then it's not really had the desired effect that the Spaniard will have wanted his side to have. Here's Rico Lewis though, just going forward now, and Oscar Bobb on his left foot finds Reinders out to his right, and now with Bobb once more. Can Bobb get a good ball into the box this time? He's attacking Spence. He's going to try and cut the ball across, does too much with it in the end. He actually goes under his foot. It's brilliant from Jed Spence just to show him the wrong way constantly. He holds his ground, and Bobb can't do anything but dribble it out for a goal kick.
Yeah, he can't. It's been fantastic defensive display from that back four for Spurs this afternoon. It was a shaky start for them. I think Spence and Porro in the first 10 minutes looked as though they were going to be in for a difficult afternoon, but I think especially those two fullbacks have really grown into the game. I've just looked at the touch map for both these teams. Tijani Reinders, probably one of the best players in this on the pitch, really on paper, has had 38 touches. Vicario's had 45. The Spurs goalkeeper. They've just not been able to get the key players involved enough.
Yeah, that's the key. It was apparent in the first half, wasn't it, with like Ryan Shirky? They just couldn't get him involved at all. That's why he was taken off. They can't get Bernardo Silva on the ball now that he's come on the pitch as well. You look at Tottenham, they're getting it to Mark Kudus every time. Palini goes for their switch there. It was a great ball, but Johnson was coming in back from an offside position. Just puts his arm up to acknowledge the pass from Palini, because it was a beauty of a ball. Great football again from Tottenham. Mohamed Kudus is really looking like one of the signings of the summer at the moment. He's only been there for a couple of games, but every touch of the ball he has, every pass, just seems to find its way to his man. He's a real joy to watch.
And the goals and assists part of his game are fairly irrelevant as Richarlison comes down the right hand side and it's blocked behind, and Trafford will pick it up. If you ignore the goals and assists part, which is obviously a big part of your winger, but at West Ham he was never known for it, and they didn't pay the money for purely that. The thing that's so underrated about players like Mohamed Kudus is they'll get the ball and they won't give it away. We've watched him in this game so many times. He's been an outlet for Spurs, as has been Richarlison, but Richarlison doesn't quite have the technical footwork that Kudus does. When he gets the ball, Tottenham's number 20, he'll take on his man, and then he'll take on another. And he's beaten 3 players, and he hasn't looked like he's broken a sweat doing it. He keeps hold of the ball the entire time, and then he'll lay it off. And it's just simple stuff. You watch Manchester City, for example, as a comparison. Players like Cherki in this game, yes, they'll beat their man, and then they'll beat another, but then they'll go for a third and give the ball away. And it's poor stuff. Mohamed Kudus has been probably the best player on the pitch for me so far. He's not scored, he's not assisted, but his all-round play has been phenomenal.
Yeah, certainly has. As Bob tries to finally go around his man, he does get across this time. It's blocked behind for a corner. Romero's absolutely incensed at something by the referee there. Gets himself into the book for it as well. We've seen that time again from Romero, haven't we, in his Premier League career. Always seems to go a bit too far forward. Maybe you can have an argument with the corner being given there, but he's just got to keep his head a little bit better than that, the Tottenham captain. It's not really the best skipper behaviour from him, but he's got to refocus himself though now, as there is the set piece to defend. It's actually a free kick to Manchester City, given a bit further back in the attack, so it won't be a corner. It's Silva over it as well. It's in a dangerous position. We know the left foot that Bernardo Silva possesses. It's going to have to be a wonder of the ball there. You have to get Ruben Diaz, Haaland and Stones attacking this cross. They've got to score pretty soon as well, Manchester City, if they are going to even get a point out of this one. But the more the game goes on, the more unlikely that it's looking. Peter Banks still with a lot to sort out in the middle. He's finally happy, blows his whistle, and Bernardo Silva will take this free kick for City. It's towards the centre of the goal, and it might just go in. It doesn't. It goes wide. It's going to be a corner. I think it came off of a Tottenham man. Diaz was in there. However, it just seems to flash past him. Yeah, it comes off Mickey van der Ven, who I'm sure will be quite relieved to see that one go wide.
And I'll tell you what, if he's meant that is an absolutely phenomenal defensive clearance from the Dutchman, because he's flicked that at such an angle that it's away from the Manchester City attackers, but also not into the back of his net, in which it very nearly crept. But another corner kick, another set piece to defend for Spurs.
Yeah, it's Reinders now towards the front post. Doku, it was Aki was attacking it at the near post. It comes off Spence eventually. Out for yet another corner to Manchester City. It's going to be Reinders with the in-swinger once again. Can see the urgency about Manchester City now. Enough time's running out and it's not on their side. Reinders is towards the back post this time. Vicario goes up, gets the clearance, will come out to the player. It's Rico Lewis with a snapshot on the edge of the area. Well, that will be a frustrating one for Pep Guardiola. Just absolutely.
Josh up to Ruben Diaz and just shoves him in the back as he's walking away, and then squares up to basically everyone that will listen to him, Richarlison. He does it so well. He's just your typical wind-up merchant, really. He's such a great footballer, but also has mastered the dark arts, if you will. He gets himself in the book, as does Nico Gonzalez. I think of all the attackers for Spurs, that one an expected yellow card. So 3 bookings now for the visitors in Tottenham Hotspur. Romero, Johnson, and now Richarlison, the assist maker of the opening goal for Brennan Johnson. You have to think that perhaps his time on the pitch may be limited. They've got attacking options: Odegaard, Tell and Solanke, 3 players that could come on. You'd imagine that Solanke will be introduced pretty shortly now with Richarlison, a player known for a bit of a short fuse. Underneath this one, he wins the initial flick on up against Ruben Diaz. There was a bit of extra emphasis perhaps as he jumped for that ball there, with tensions, as Josh said, starting to maybe just bubble, not yet boiled over, but it's certainly simmering at the Etihad. Guardiola perhaps will know, in his years of experience as manager in the Premier League, will know that you've got to use those tempers rather than lose them. But at the moment, it looks as though there are going to be changes made, and it looks as though it may be Rodri to come on. He's been sent down to warm up in that sensational warm-up bib, I have to say, sponsored by Asahi. I might get one for myself there for Christmas maybe, but certainly on the ball again. You can see how they do miss Rodri. He sort of does the job of 3 of the midfielders in the middle for City.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he's the Ballon d'Or winner for a reason as well, isn't he, Rodri? An unbelievable football player. We saw how much it fell apart for Manchester City last season when he got injured. It was like a house of cards just completely tumbling down. That's the effect he has on the rest of the squad. Getting him on the pitch, it's so important. That's a nice move there from City. It looked like Reinders trying to let it run for Haaland. It doesn't work. Richarlison now releases Brennan Johnson.
Well, they could run away with it here, literally, as Johnson gets on the end of the through ball, but instead decides against going for goal himself. Probably wise from Brennan Johnson. Again, takes it backwards. And to be fair, whilst it may be frustrating from a neutral point of view, and maybe even a Spurs point of view, that they're not going for goal or go for a third, this is exactly what Thomas Frank will want. You know, this is almost the identical blueprint in how he played with Brentford. Nothing silly. It's very rational. It's very measured football, surgical in a sense from Frank, man, making the 2 fouls, and he should go in the book in my opinion.
Yeah, he should do. I mean, there's more than enough, more than a few fouls in that little moment of play there from Oscar Boss. And you can't fault his perseverance. He's trying to win the ball back and press as much as he can to get his team back in it, but he sort of crosses a line with it. Just going back to that chance there, I think Sam might be in an offside position as Porro swings the ball, and I'm not sure what Trafford's doing once again though. He just gets caught in no man's land. He can't use his hands there as well. He's lucky that it's not Richarlison, I think, because with his area ability compared to Sarr, I think he gives the keeper a lot more to worry about in that position.
I mean, again, it's not great from James Trafford, really. It's not great at all, and he's not really had the greatest home debut either. I think it's definitely a game to forget for the former Burnley man. You saw him celebrate that game against Wolverhampton Wanderers, the 4-0 victory away from home. He got his clean sheet on his league debut and he was a happy boy, but I have to say that this home debut, something of nightmares really. Oscar Barber replaced by Phil Foden on the 75-minute mark. It looks as though Nico Gonzalez has come off, and I'm pretty sure it's the Ballon d'Or winner Rodri, indeed it is, the number 16, who returns to this Manchester City midfield. He's made some appearances in pre-season, but now does take centre stage. Almost like a comfy pair of old slippers there. It just feels right. Rodri slotting into that midfield hole, and they're wanting to steady things up at the back and assure things for Guardiola, although in my opinion it might be a little bit too little too late as Rodri embarks on his 7th season for Manchester City. He's made over 250 appearances for them so far, and a real legend, modern legend really, of the club. Ball fed forward for Foden from Doku. It's cut out again by Romero. He, though, can only divert it behind for a corner kick. So another set piece for Manchester City. And at the moment, it seemed a little bit like death taxes and hitting the first man from a corner kick from Manchester City. Although Foden, a new taker, looks to go over with a left-footed out-swinging ball. Still plenty of players to aim at for Manchester City. 15 minutes left of normal time. We've seen it before. Ball swung in, free header. Oh, it's straight at Vicario. It was Rodri who, that's his first touch really since coming on. It's a fantastic ball from Foden, and Rodri, Van der Ven, he won't want to watch that back. He's completely left Rodri unmarked, almost on the penalty spot there. Trafford out again. He heads it behind. He didn't put too much on the header either, James Trafford, and he's certainly skating on thin ice. But at the moment, the game seems a little bit like it's on a knife's edge. You do see, perhaps, if Man City get a goal before the 80-minute mark, they could go on and get a second and tie the game, or even go on to win it. Whereas Spurs, they're making changes now. It will be Solanke and Odegaard to come on the field of play. I'd imagine for Brennan Johnson and Richarlison, it is going to be for Brennan Johnson and Richarlison. The number 22 comes up in red. Brennan Johnson's race is running this one, and what an impact he has had, opening the scoring on the 35-minute mark. We've just seen a replay of that goal. It was the 2 players that are now being substituted that combined for the opener. Richarlison's ball across, tucked in by Johnson into that far corner. A really, really well worked, I'm going to say it again, surgical goal from Thomas Frank's side, and I think a type of goal that we're going to see time and time again under the former Brentford boss. And you'd imagine that it'll be those 2 players that will combine for a fair few of them. Mohamed Kudus still on the pitch then, which you have to say may well stay until full time, because they do need a reliable attacking outlet, and I think he's probably been their best player.
Yeah, he certainly has. I think he's the best player to keep on in this situation as well. He'll be able to frustrate the Manchester City players with his dribbling. He'll be able to keep the ball, like you said, James. He just doesn't lose the ball when he gets hold of it. And until his later stages, when you're trying to run down the clock, maybe get it in the corner, he's absolutely perfect at that. He'll just manage to keep the ball away from the players so that they can't, sort of nip in front of him and tackle him. He's absolutely brilliant for that, and he's had a real standout performance today for Man City. But yeah, I mean, just going back to that Rodri chance as well, what a first introduction back to playing in the Premier League that would have been for the Spanish Ballon d'Or winner. Just couldn't quite direct it away from the goalkeeper in the end. You know what they were looking for from Rodri. They want that clutch moment that he's delivered for them on so many occasions. absolutely crucial for that, and that's a good tackle there to let them get on the counter-attack.
Foden plays into Doku. Jeremy Doku now space to run into. He's marked by Porro. He's going to cut inside on the right foot, then back onto the left. Great challenge, cuts it back. Should be a goal, but fantastic from Mickey van der Ven. Slides in to deny Phil Foden what would be a very easy tap-in. Kudus now dribbles it away from Ake. Looks to bring the ball forward. It's a big challenge that comes in. It's a fair one. And then it's cleared downfield, and Solanke to give chase, but should be won by James Trafford, who again, he needs to have a shot collar on, James Trafford. He's ventured out of that box about 4 or 5 times in this game when he doesn't really need to, in my opinion. That should have been dealt with easily out the back by Stones and Diaz, but James Trafford taking matters into his own hands or feet, quite literally, to get the ball away. Just see a replay of that chance there. Doku, that is what you want him on the pitch for, that burst of pace to get away from Pedro Porro, the flashy footwork, and then it's the end product that this time he gets right. But a fantastic intervention from Van der Ven to deny Manchester City their first goal of the game.
Yeah, it's just brilliant from all parties in that situation. From the defending from Van der Ven, I mean, he's such a long player, he's tall and brilliant at getting down for blocks like that. Does his job perfectly there for Man City. He's left one on Phil Foden though in the aftermath. He's walking around a little bit gingerly at the moment. It's only come on a couple of minutes ago, so this would be an absolute disaster for City. They've already made all 5 changes as well, so if Foden can't continue, they're going to be playing the final 10 minutes with only 10 men. But yeah, I mean, with Trafford, it's good to see that his confidence hasn't been knocked too much, and he's still coming out of his box to try and deal with it, maybe thinking that he's Manuel Neuer a little bit too much. But yeah, good to see that his confidence hasn't waned.
Well, more Manuel annoying for the defenders in front of him, I'd have to argue. Sorry for the pun. Manchester City will pick up the ball again with Haaland. Ball fizzed out wide towards Doku. Reinders will get there first. That should be a free kick on the Manchester City man. It's not been given. And in fact, the throw-in's been given. I can't understand that from the referee there. I think that's an absolute stonewall against Reinders, which would have been his second foul of the game, but not to be for the Dutchman. And it's a well-worked break. You can see him trying to fizz that ball out there, Phil Foden, towards Doku, but a good intervention in the end from Pedro Porro denies the attack.
Yeah, it does. It's a crucial piece of defending, isn't it? I think there could have been a free kick. Pedro Porro's just gone into the book now for time wasting, so another yellow card given here by the referee. So he's not afraid to get his cards out if he thinks the time wasting's been too much. It has been clamped down, of course, this season. We've seen that no rule come in with the 8-second wait for goalkeepers. Haven't seen it enforced too much in the football that I've watched this season, so whether it's actually having the desired effect and keepers are sticking to it, or whether the referees are still being a bit lenient, remains to be seen over the course of the rest of the season. But here is Trafford on the ball now.
Lobs it long down the right hand side. That's a bit better from the former Burnley man. You know, just get the ball downfield and stop wasting time with it. Odobert wins the ball and will take on Rodri, and we'll get the better of Rodri twice. He's embarrassed the Spaniard there, and then a third time he's taken it down the line. Rodri can't keep up. Stones then is handed over the task of marking Odobert. This time Bernardo Silva gets a foot in and then will knock it out of play. Fantastic stuff from the Frenchman. And Rodri, well, it's almost like a You've Been Framed compilation there from the Ballon d'Or holder. He's been absolutely sent to the cleaners, and I think those Tottenham fans have enjoyed that more than the goals.
Yeah, they certainly have. It's wonderful there from the substitute. Exactly what you need in these final 10 minutes. Just a player who can hold the ball up, maybe do a few tricks to get round players and just frustrate them. Maybe force one of them to put a challenge in that gives them a yellow card. And just winding down the clock. That's all it's about now for Tottenham. They're aware of how that last went against PSG when they lost that 2-goal lead in the final sort of 10 minutes. That might be in the back of their minds here as they're playing at the Etihad. So no big mistakes. Just keep it down that end of the field as much as you can, and you're home through.
Ball with Jeremy Doku now. Again, he'll try to take on Porro. And again, it falls apart for Manchester City. He knocks it round Porro, but can't keep it within the boundaries of play. Goes out of play for a throw-in, which Porro then gingerly walks over and lobs back to his teammate in Vicario. He then plays a long ball downfield. Solanke underneath it won't get there. Now in with Reinders. Infield ball to Foden, who's dropping deep. And Phil Foden, another player where I'm just not quite sure where he goes from here. I don't know what position is best for him on the pitch. I don't think Guardiola or himself knows. But for the moment, City come forward. And it's Rico Lewis on the ball. Out wide. The ball now goes again with John Stones. More infield. Rodri on the ball once again. Now Ake pressed by Kudus, but he can get it away to Doku. Doku now one-on-one with his man. Kudus going to dive in. No foul though. Back to Ake. Ake's long ball into the back post is not a bad one. Headed back across. Haaland should be there. It's off the bar. It's off the top of the crossbar. It's Bernardo Silva, the man who stands it up and plants the header back across goal. Vicario was scrambling, doesn't get there, and I think it has off the top of the crossbar and rolled over on the roof of the net.
Yeah, it's a big chance again for Man City. I don't think it's intentional from Bernardo Silva. I think he's wanting to plant that on Haaland's head for him to just have an easy tap in. He can't quite do that though. It does go over the bar as Tottenham look to launch an attack forward there, but a bit better again from City. Looking a little bit better, I think, since Foden and Rodri have come on. Tottenham have still looked dangerous down the other side, but Foden and Rodri just adding that stability and then the sort of creativity to open the Tottenham defence up. The runs being made ahead of the ball a little bit better than when Bob was on the pitch. That's what they'll need going forward now, because they do need a bit of a miracle.
Foden on the ball, gets away from Paulinho, then plays it wide to Rico Lewis, gives it back to Foden. The two Englishmen combining. Rodri now on the ball, lofts it high and to the left hand side. It's a great ball, and that's what they've missed. More directness. Now it's Jamie Doku, certainly a player knows how to go direct, but potentially not with the most accuracy, as it's picked off him by Pedro Porro. Now Solanke almost turns away 3 or 4 times, a little bit panicked, but will find feet in Kudus. Now Porro back to Van de Ven, back to Vicario, who you'd imagine is waiting for the closing in of Reinders to go long. Indeed he is. Long ball up towards Solanke. Stones wins the header. Back now into the feet of Bernardo Silva. Now Rodri. Saab quickly on the case, but Rodri will get it away to Bernardo Silva. Now Reinders coming forward, gives it to Rodri. The pendulum back in midfield for Manchester City. Now Foden lines up a strike, will go for it, deflected, Vicario holds on to it. Good save, but one that was fairly comfortable for the Argentine in goal. But I think that's the first time Manchester City have had a shot from outside the box.
Yeah, it is, and maybe it shows the way that they should be going in this one. It takes a deflection as well. In the end, it does end up in the arms of Vicario. It's a save he'll make every single day of the week, but having shots from that sort of range, you can get the deflection sometimes. It can completely wrong foot the goalkeeper. You've got the quality as well. Phil Foden, how many goals has he scored from outside the box in his time? There's players like Rodri, we've seen him do it from outside the area as well, so I'm surprised that approach hasn't been used more by these City players. Reinders, he's got a good finish on him, as we saw at Wolves from near the edge of the box, and here he is now on the ball.
Plays it square to Doku. Doku with a bit of space now ahead of him, but he's doubled up by 2. Porro makes the block. Corner Manchester City once again. Foden, you'd imagine the taker of it. 5 minutes to go of normal time, and that away end, all in white, may well be starting to get the party going for Tottenham Hotspur. It'll be a lovely trip back to London from Manchester, and it's Mohamed Kudus, a substitution made by Thomas Frank, and he gets rapturous applause from the away, and I feel like standing up and clapping myself because he's been phenomenal for Tottenham Hotspur this afternoon. So Kudus is replaced 85 minutes into this one, and it's been a fabulous 85 minutes, I must say. Bergvall takes his place, and you've got to feel a little bit for the Swede, because Bergvall joined last season, I think was one of their best players in what was a fairly dismal domestic campaign. And it seems as though he's just fallen by the wayside a little bit under Thomas Frank, but certainly plenty of talent still to come from Foden. Ball in, evades everyone, will find Sarr. Sarr then knocks it out wide to Porro, who's going to drive with it the whole way. Reinders next to him. Porro still going, then turns backwards. Fantastic from him. Plays it into Bergvall. Questions of offside, but he'll keep going. Will Bergvall dinks it over the head of Rico Lewis. Now chance, cuts it back. Big chance. Oh, it's wide from Wilson Odobert. But it's fantastic play from Bergvall. I think there was a slip in there from Rico Lewis, but Bergvall, with all the composure in the world, dinks it over his head and cuts that ball back.
Yeah, what an introduction to the game there for Bergvall. Absolutely brilliant down the right wing. That's what City have been missing the entire game. Someone who can really put the full-backs at risk, and that's not the greatest ball there from Phil Foden out wide to Haaland, who just about keeps it in by the corner flag.
He does now, back with Bernardo Silva into Reinders. It's actually Rico Lewis has been chomped there, but a fair one. Sarr will bring it forward, go round Rodri potentially, but no, turns backwards, then slips, then fouls Rico Lewis. It's turning into a bit of a comedy show, but the advantage has been played. Rodri picks it up. He's just standing that ball up, waiting for options. He plays it backwards. It's not a great ball to Ake. Bergvall collides. Is that a free kick? Indeed it is. Is that going to be a booking for Lucas Bergvall? I don't think it will be. It's just a coming together really between the two players, but Bergvall is certainly late there on Ake.
Yeah, he's been eager, hasn't he, since coming on. Absolutely goes through Nathan Ake in the end as he tries to bring that ball down. So it's going to be a pretty decent free kick opportunity here. Phil Foden with his left foot, I'm sure will fancy this one. Maybe a bit too far out to shoot. It'd be interesting to see if they go for the cross to the back post instead. It's only Foden standing over it. Tottenham are just going to play the one-man wall, so it's clear what they think he's going to do.
Yeah, the cross looks inevitable from Foden. There's a left-footed set piece deliverer. Always difficult to go for goal from these kind of left-hand sided situations. Suits the cross better, and they've got plenty of height still on the pitch, Manchester City. There's a line of 5 players in blue: Haaland, Ake, Diaz, Rodri, and Bernardo Silva at the back. The cross comes in, it's poor. Rodri wins it and then wins a free kick. In fact, gives away a free kick, sorry. I think it's Van de Ven underneath it who goes down to contact from the Spaniard. So a chance now for Tottenham again, just to wind that clock down. Plenty leaving the Etihad as we get a nice drone shot from outside the ground. Pretty cinematic, that. See the floods of blue, look like ants from the height of the camera, all flooding out down those spiral staircases outside the Etihad. And well, it's a long way back for the away side. Tottenham Hotspur back to London. They won't mind one bit. It looks as though not only are they going to depart Manchester, the blue side anyway, with 3 points, but also a clean sheet as well. And the Thomas Frank era, you have to say now, is very much underway.
Yeah, it certainly has. If people were still a little bit reserved on whether they were going to look the real deal this year, Tottenham, I think this game has absolutely smashed that suggestion out of the park. They've been absolutely sensational today at the Etihad. They've looked control throughout the game. They've looked dangerous on the attack though as well. The pace of Kudus has been really good to watch. Richarlison looks like a different player this season, and to what we've seen compared to him in the rest of his time at Tottenham Hotspur. Brennan Johnson as well, clinical in the first half. I think injuries, they might be key for Tottenham. Keeping Kudus fit is absolutely massive, especially with missing out on Ebre Eze to Arsenal, to North London rivals. That would have really stung a bit. But if anything was going to make that feel a little bit better, I think it's this result today.
Absolutely. Ball from Rodri out wide is a good one. He looks off the pace as Rodri. I mean, the long range balls have been good, but the simple stuff he's not been able to do. Ball, Bergvall flicks away at the back post. Doku was underneath it. Doku will let it run out for a throw in on the near side. We've hit the 90-minute mark just about. The fourth official lifts his board. 4 minutes added on. And you think even for Tottenham Hotspur, it's probably too little too late for Manchester City. Kevin Danso coming on. I mentioned in that game against Paris Saint-Germain, he's become somewhat of a cult hero, really. I can recall the Europa League final, which Tottenham won against Manchester United, and he came on, played about half an hour and just cleared everything downfield. He was somewhat of a colossus, and he comes on for the goal scorer of the second, Paulinho, who I think I criticised a little bit before he scored the goal in typical commentator's fashion, but he's had a really good game, I think, since that. He's quietly gone about his business, been really neat and tidy, and just kept it ticking. Somewhat of a Rodri figure, really, in the Tottenham ranks.
Yeah, another standout performance for Tottenham Hotspur. He's been absolutely sensational once again, both defensively. Pape Sarr as well has been great in the midfield. That's alongside his Bentancur. The whole team for Tottenham has just really functioned well, especially that midfield. That's been the key, hasn't it? In transition, both at the back and attacking, but they're sitting out at the end.
John Stone's ball in, not a bad one, flicked away by Danso. Again, doing what he does so well, just getting in the way. And now it's Doku up against Porro, who's won that battle well. Ake puts the ball in on his left foot. Haaland's underneath it, can't get there. Bernardo Silva will have it, miskicked it, and it's won by Jed Spence. How many times have we said that this afternoon? Jed Spence will drive. He's got Odebert making a run. Stones palms him off. Jed Spence still going. He's got Odebert. He's got the run of Porro. But Jed Spence, good experience shown, slows it down and feeds it into Pape Sarr, who will turn and go backwards and run that clock down. Now, Van de Ven. And I have to say again, you can see the influence that Thomas Frank has had on these players. They go forward, it looks to get a little bit excited, and then it just calms right down. They don't want to give the ball away, don't want to overcommit, they go backwards, and that is a large part of the why they've kept the clean sheet today and maybe challenging for at least the top 4 this season.
Yeah, you would think under Ange Postecoglou then, that situation, they'd probably go gung-ho, wouldn't they? They'd just try and score as much as possible, but the experience is starting to sort of seep in. Here's Solanke, they're now just up to the edge of the area.
2v2 now, Solanke goes himself, strike a goal! Good save from Trafford, it'll rebound to Odebert, header on! Good save from Trafford again. Palms away for a corner kick. The Spurs fans don't care, they're loving it. It's Solanke that goes alone up against John Stones, gets the better of him, and then gets his strike away. It's actually against Ruben Diaz, who just stands off and stands off and stands off. Eventually Solanke thinks, alright, I'll have a go. It deflects off of Ruben Diaz on the way, only into the turf. Trafford does well to get down and palm away, only into the path of Odebert. His header, which I think is an orthodox approach to it, I think he should take that down and go for a strike, is into that corner, but Trafford well placed to save that and palm away from goal. Thomas Frank is, well, really feeling the emotions of every Tottenham fan in the ground as that one is saved. A corner kick to come. game over, you have to say. A minute and a half left of the added time still to play. 93rd minute about to be reached, and it's an outswinging ball from Pedro Porro. It's an empty Etihad, aside from that far left corner of away fans. Pedro Porro, right-footed ball towards the back stick. It's brought down, now will fall from Romero. Teed up but poorly. One back, Romero slices at it. Van der Ven wins it back. And then Jed Spence pings it to the right-hand side to Pedro Porro. Fantastic from Spurs again. Porro then, right-footed ball, not a bad one. Headed up into the air from Reinders. Doku underneath it. Porro will see it out and then almost rugby tackles two. Ake brings it forward. Foul comes in from Pape Matar. Manchester City. Rodri then is crunched by Matar again. And then Jed Spence will bring it forward. Give him. Pape Matar, probably deserving of a yellow card there after those two challenges. The one for Porro as well. Certainly a questionable one, but play goes on. He's on a booking as well. He's Pedro Porro. Would have been a real shame for him to get sent off. At the shirts of City fans, been replaced by blue seats of the Etihad. Ball swung in, headed away, and revived by Gonzalez. Revived by Rangers. Played back by Foden. Big block from Porro, out for a throw. And the Spurs fans again in full voice. Guardiola, well, he looks pretty sad inside his technical area. But Thomas Frank will be absolutely ecstatic. City come forward still. Spurs sit back still. And Spurs are going to take all 3 points here. Big challenge comes in from Bergvall, but no, he leaves it cleverly for Porro, who clears downfield. And that is the last action of this absolute thriller at the Etihad. It's full time. It's Manchester City 0, Tottenham Hotspur 2. What a game for Thomas Frank, and what a 3 points for those travelling Spurs fans.
Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck